We did it. My Facebook has been mental today. Absolutely mental. I've had so little work done, it's unreal. Let's test the chat. That's working. Luke sent me an offer. Things are happening straight away. Okay. Cool. That's sorted. Okay. I've not been on PTGO for like a week, so let's see what's going on in my world. Let's make changes to this deck, because we've seen a better list now. As of this weekend. You know, I wasn't far away. What are the two cards I'm missing from here? Let me check. Arciano, how's it going? Let me check my phone real quick. Check out Pablo's list. Where are we? Here we go. Oh, he played Stretcher over Rod. I actually still prefer Rod. Okay. And multi-switch as the spice. The spice that is multi-switch. Okay. Two of your mates made day 2. That does sound pretty good. Such a big regional as well. It's actually really impressive. Those who did cut. Unliving Photon as well. How's it going? We're going to be looking at all the regionals results and sort of trying to find trends within them to kickstart our playtesting for Leipzig for myself and Australia for the general population. Because a lot's happened again, and since London there's once again been a huge jump towards new decks, and it's been very, very different this weekend as to what some people were expecting. Bad X Apple, how's it going? Multi-switch, energy, lotto, and baton. What is the meta in Memphis? You're not wrong. There was some pretty interesting stuff. Doing well. Marky loves cats. How's it going? I'd like to apologise on behalf of Canada. You don't have to apologise. You don't have to. We may discuss these sorts of things at some point today. It is hard to ignore these sorts of things when they happen. Memphis. Those 40 hammers were beautiful. Azul, what a champ. What a champ. I've not seen his full list, but I know that he played 40 hammer. Senpai. Can we win this turn? It would be pretty hard to win this turn, but we could do it. Let's go for it, obviously. They played nothing after the end, so we won't be ending them. If we go Regirock right now, we have a higher chance of winning this turn if we hit a strong and float off the Sycamore. So let's go for that. Let's go for those things. Would be pretty nice. Oh. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. Whoops. He should have won the finals. Pram isn't good, he can just draw cards. I think that's a pretty harsh statement to say to one of the best players of all time. That he's not even good. Oh dear. Although Pram did find field blowers at the right times. I'll give him that. B-Peg with the Rogue decks, how's it going? 7 times he's been good at drawing cards. Jack, how's it going? Hope you're good. Gonna get a few people in here before we start getting to the main topics of today. Recapping all of the action from the weekends across the globe. We were in Italy, we were in Australia, and we were also, of course, in Memphis. God is coming back. Persimmon is a thing now. People are jumping to conclusions straight away. Jigab, how's it going? And Wishy Washy. Oh yes, Wishy Washy almost made something of an impact. You got all the top 8 right except for the finals. Luke, you want to pop in for the review? Sure, I don't mind having people on today. I need some extra energy in here. We haven't yet talked about Michael, no. We haven't talked about it. I've not talked about the whole team area topic either just yet. Both are quite interesting topics. So, we want to be able to Lycanroc up the things he elixirs to turn 2, right? So maybe developing Rockruff is the thing that we want to do. Elixiring a Rockruff isn't even bad. He's probably going to fill his bench pretty well. We don't even have the option to Regirock, so I think this is right. Do I hold the Elixir for better odds when I throw 2 away? We do play 11 though, so we still have high odds. I guess we play the card. Okay. Let's end our way. It's still a reasonable hand. I'm not going to play the other Elixir. I'll wait till Brooklet unless I'm going to Brooklet Octillery. Depends on how good our hand is. Or how good their turn is, really. Six decks of Lycanroc in the top 8. Yep, that's a trend that we'll be looking at. Epa said that Zoroark... Mark said that Zoroark wasn't OP. Said it was just fine. I believed, man. I did a 50-minute video gushing about it, and it turned out to be quite good. You still like Toad's list better with some techs? I'm really surprised at the... not really underperformance, but the underplay it received. It still did very well across the globe. For some reason my thing doesn't look very HD today. Oh, there you go, it's gone unblurry. Dialga going to be a $3 card. I don't know about that. Reggie Bang, how's it going? Mad Captain, how are you? Did we seriously get our stadium bumped by 8th of Paradise? What's going on here? I should probably open my Skype if people are going to get in here. Pop. There it is. Probably a bit loud. Ben, how's it going? After Memphis, you built Yveltal Garb with 40 hammers and 3 parallel cities. That's insane. USP Master, you start by saying that you're from New York and you prefer the EU broadcasting team 1000% over NA. Commentator Riot. I only had a chance to listen to, I think, 3 games from the stream, guys. I need to listen to more of them to start slaying anyone. Okay, let's build another Buzzwole, I guess. Time to build a Buzzwole. You look like I lack festive decorations. We're getting festive on Wednesday. Don't worry, dude. You're getting festive on Wednesday. Zora Lycanroc is OP. That seems to be the case after what we've seen recently. Can we hit a Lycanroc? No, but we do hit a multi-switch. Not very helpful. Maybe next turn it'll be helpful with our Guzma play. Do we pressurize the Voltorb? This only does the active, right? No, it's not just the active. Oh my goodness, got away with it. So I guess we hit a Rangaroo, huh? Let's get some damage in on this guy. Do you want to build a Buzzwole? Yeah, festive treats. Golisopod Lycanroc. Now that's some spice right there. Is he going to spend his GX attack this early? It seems like a bad idea. Yeah, he wants to. Feels good. Let's make sure I'm not stupid. 4 times 6. 24. This is more than 24. No, this has 24. Okay. We don't want to do that. What did I play? I didn't play. Stadium, yeah, he has 24. He has 24. And the last team, you remember something about a Santa hat? Yeah, for Wednesday, sure. Everything's happening on Wednesday. This is like the semi-serious stream, and then we just go full memes on Wednesdays. That's just how we do it around these here parts. Azul actually had the best deck for the tournament. A lot of conversation about the streamers in chat right now. The casters, I should say. Give me a prize, please. Thanks. I think I will take it. Oh, baby. Elixirs are so good. If I do it this way around... See, Pablo doesn't play Field Blowers. It's a little bit annoying when there's this sort of stuff roaming around, Fury belts. So we want to Guzma this turn. Yeah, we want to Guzma this. And take a single prize, and then we can either Guzma or Lycanroc to finish off the Lele. So that's what we'll do. I guess. You know, I guess we do that. You're here for the shenanigans. Didn't see any Tapu Koko on stream. Yeah, no, weird. Wonder why not. Oh boy, Lele's are coming. Oh, they have the N. Spicy. Trouble. We haven't developed artillery yet. Oh boy. Danger, danger. Medium voltage. Let's see, we can put our Regirock, get to 170, but that ain't too big of a deal. Multi-switch, hello. Best card ever. Is it better just to get another Remoraid down so we can't try and like deny it in any way? The Regirock does matter for KOing a Lele, I guess. Okay, let's get him on board. Burn a card that we don't want to play. I guess we can do 40 this turn, right? Yeah, we just do the 40. 40 into 170. Holding this means we can get Ultra Ball as an out to get Artillery. But also these are outs that could win us the game. I may just attach and hit the 40-40. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 17. He's never going to reach with a Lele. I want to keep Ultra Ball around though. Yeah, we'll keep Ultra Ball around. Okay, fine. There's the Eighth of Paradise. A Sorola. Danger. Less danger. I guess we just energy drive this turn, thanks to good old multi. Are we floatstoning Buzz? I guess we are. And are we going Pseudo-Wudo over Lele? No, we're going Lele. Okay. Where can you find the full results from the weekend? Right here in about 20 minutes. Retreat to Pseudo-Wudo. I don't think Pseudo-Wudo is that good because I sack the energy this way. This way he needs to still bounce to be like completely safe. Otherwise he could just like KO the Pseudo-Wudo. Oh, he won. Pretty sure he top decked Guzma. Feels good, man. Buzzwell's bad, confirmed. Maybe my line was too greedy because I didn't have artillery developed. Killing his Oranguru may have been too greedy there, but he'll always have Acerolas, right, when he's that sort of deck. Oh man, let's get one more game in. Raging Gamer, how's it going? Do I have any Buzzwole I want to part with? Not really. Memphis is, in some cases, was an experience of what happens when Joe daydreams. Yeah. I guess so, huh? Oh, Tommy Roberts. What a guy. What are you doing here, Tommy? You have a good deck. He probably doesn't know it's me. Oh, he does know. What a champ. Secret Rare Fox, how's it going? See, this is why you want Super Odd over Rescue Stretcher. Right here, everyone. You're looking at a list that's better than Pablo's right here. What scumbag. But in Elixir decks, typically you do play Rod over Stretcher. Typically. Stretcher's better in those cases where you discard Artillery, like turn 1, you develop Remoraid. Well, there's another Remoraid that I can bin, I guess. Do you want to build a Buzzwole? Do I want to bench second Remoraid here? It's against a Garbodor deck, so probably not. Playing no Field Blower against Garbodor decks is pretty horrendous. So I guess he's playing Azul's list. So I guess we don't put down the other Remoraid. It'll just be useless. Doing this could be pretty scary for him. Getting the 30N on both isn't great. It forces him to have Guzma Golisopod. And if he has those things, it's hard for him to also get the Garbodor. But I'll still play the Lele proactively. It's safer this way, I think. And we'll just pass. Super Odd over Stretcher because no one has a Stretcher podcast. C. Murphy's asking about Lycanroc or Zoroark line. Well, people have tried out Buzz Zoro. I think if you're going to play... Basically, Buzz Lycanroc is similar to Buzz Zoroark. Or sorry. Zoro Buzz is similar to Zoro Lycanroc. Some people tech in a Buzzwole into Zoro Lycanroc, so the decks do branch out and they're both pretty successful, so... Ooh, that's a lot of cards in the bin. Lots of them. Does Armor Press keep him alive? No, nothing does. Does he have a Wimpod? Well, I guess it's GX time. Because it looks ridiculous right about now. 4, 8, 12, 16, 18. No, sorry. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So we don't need to play any other cards. Do I want to just to play around? Anything else? Not really. Die insect. Where are the Excel sheets? I've got one in the background, don't worry. I've got one. I'm just letting people get in here. Don't you worry. You don't see many builds of Zorobuzz with elixirs, not Tittery. That could be pretty cool. Yeah, you guys weren't expecting gameplay today, were you? What a mess. Wow. Whoops. Damn it, Tommy. Find yourself some Pokemon, dude. Where's the discussion about Zoro Gyarados being new meta? Do I have the Turin results? I have the top 8, Benji. I don't know how everything progressed. I also have the top 8 of Brisbane, but I also don't know how they progressed. So, I just have top 8. So if people could fill me in as we go, that would be excellent. I know that Robin won in Turin, but that's all I know. And I know that I've seen Robin's list. I've seen a few lists. Race to the fill-up bridge in 3 hours. I don't think I can do that. Okay. We're going first, so is it better for us to stack a Buzzwole and go for Guzma plays on 2? Protect it while we stack it with elixirs? I think it probably is. We play 3 float stones as well, so... Protect the big guy seems like a good idea. Is this another Theorymon segment? Yeah, J-Monk, it will be Theorymon. We're just letting people get in here for a bit. Ooh, now that's a top deck. We're up against Froggos. If we attach the strong energy, it can be weak to enhanced hammer. If we discard the strong energy, we can't KO Froakie turn 2 unless it's with a GX attack. So the answer is to attach a basic and not play Ultra Ball. Or we Ultra Ball away. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's our answer. We're also playing around Bubble with this means of how we've set out our Pokemon. Lily-chan getting 4 cards. Froggos. There it is, the whiff. Oh, of course, okay. So we'll get rid of 1 Guzma and Octillery. We'll grab ourselves Regirock and we'll do the cool guy KOs. Oh, okay. Problems have occurred. So instead this turn we need to dig for Float Stone plus Elixir hit, which makes life a lot worse. Okay. Some of the issues of only playing one-offs. That's a problem. Did not anticipate this with our Pseudo-Wudo in the active. So we have to just go all in on this guy, right? Or do we just do the 30-30 and be content with it? Maybe 30-30 is good enough. Maybe it's good enough. We'll do it this way around, so when he evolves, we can still get the KO. We'll see. We'll see. I don't feel like digging and whiffing is going to be a great strategy. They have a large hand size, and they were happy to attach energy, so they've definitely got the turn 2 Frogadier. Foxter951 is now following. Thank you, Foxter. PS F Frogs. I like what you're thinking. I like where your head's at. They decided to Lily pre-dupes. There's only 2 draws, so I guess it was a little bit safe when he already has a Froakie on board, but still cheeky of him. Choice Band does nothing ever. It's actually worse than a Floatstone, so we won't attach it anywhere. Brooklet gives him a lot of dead draws, and if he's playing Lily, that could be helpful to us. So we will play this. And I guess if there's any ability that we want it to be Octillery drawing us cards rather than... I guess having the corner win condition around will be helpful, but we can get that later on, whereas we can develop Octillery next turn. If I attach here, it just makes our elixirs better on the bench, so I like this more. And also makes us less weak to just losing to an E-Hammer. Let's deny the 2 while we can. Still nothing back from Twitch, Jack. Rip us, right? It was those Hearthstone streams I did. Wrecked us. Isn't that what I said? Yeah, it was. Anyone hear about Long getting DQ'd? Pretty sure everyone heard about that. Is Buzzwell as impactful as Landorus now that you've had time with it? I think already it's as impactful as Landorus was. Already. It's been a huge card for the format. Sycamore to boot. Oh, nice. More lilies. It's like playing against Michael himself. Just kidding. Did I hear that there was cheating in Brisbane as well? I didn't actually hear that. That's unfortunate to hear, if that is the case. I haven't heard about this. It would be upsetting to hear that. He went full damage. That's interesting. So elixirs are exactly what we're looking for right here. Stack him up. We still want to attack with this one because we would rather let this one get sacked than bring this guy in, because then he can GX attack, then we're left with just this guy. And we'll be... well, we still have elixirs, but I think it's safest this way. It's a little annoying that it's a strong energy, but... that's a lot of energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our 11. I can thin one more next turn if I hold the choice band and Ultra Ball it away, and we don't need it too much this turn. Plus he could N us out of it, so I don't mind just going for a knuckle. Is the... okay, we'll go absorption. We'll go absorption. The knuckle should more or less always be live. And it just, the absorption just gets weaker from this point. Lily every turn. Feels good, man. You already had a 3 prize penalty earlier on in the competition for marked cards. That's pretty tragic. It's just embarrassing, really. Finalist got DQ'd. Jeez. Oh, am I getting a Facebook message? I am. Oh. Let's add Luke. Jack, you can hop on as well if you're free, by the way. Hello?
Hello.
So he is shadow stitching. So we can actually put Reggie Rock down and do stuff. Excellent news.
How's it going?
Good, mate. Good. How about you?
Good. Yeah, good. Yeah, I heard. I'm just obviously keeping up with the chat. I heard. Obviously, got a friend in Australia.
Yeah.
She told me about the old cheating thing in Australia.
Yeah.
Not good to hear, is it?
No. What's happening to this game, eh?
It's just getting more prevalent.
What is going on with the world? Oh, look, it's another game where Super Odd's better. Mental.
I'm so proud of you when I saw that change. I was like, yes.
Better than Pablo
I
confirmed.
love it. You know, that's... that's how I prefer to roll. And especially in Elixir decks, it just makes sense, right?
It just makes sense.
This guy's playing this very interestingly with the old...
Way too aggressively, I would say.
Yeah. No shadow stitching. It's like, hello?
Hello? Do me a flavour. Literally Flavor Flav. Loving
I wonder
life.
if he'll have his 4th Lily this turn.
He's already played 4.
I thought he played 3.
He's gone 4 for 4, mate.
What a hero.
Yeah. Do I think cheating is getting more prevalent, or do you think cheaters are just being caught more? I think it's probably a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Unfortunate as it is to say that, I think cheating is getting more prevalent.
Yeah. There's money involved now, more money involved. So it's always going to have an influence on that kind of thing, unfortunately.
That is just how it is, I'm afraid, team.
Wow, what is enter this man?
Oh, Jack's popping in. Oh, Clown, I'll add you to the other one. Hold on, Jack's tried his own thing and it's definitely not worked out.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
What's he up to? What are these schemes? Hello? Oh,
hello.
You're still here. Jack's trying to get in.
It says he's in now.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Are you the Jack Old?
I'm the Jack Old. Couldn't possibly tell you, mate. Okay. What a weekend, eh? What a weekend.
Yes, it's interesting. There were some interesting results, but this whole cheating thing's a bit upsetting. See how much is happening.
Very upsetting, I'd say.
Yeah.
Disappointing in a lot of ways. You just don't want to see the game go that way.
No.
Where can I look at the Brisbane standings? Were they on Facebook?
Oh, Jack.
Me? What?
I've got them right here. I'll show them after this game.
Okay.
Oh, if I had Floatstone, that end would have been enter 2.
Pretty decent. I'll spot check it. It'll chill. I did!
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Oh, Michael Long's getting Michael Longed. Oh dear.
Brilliant.
So he only used shadow stitching, so I need to go in. It's just that 160.
160 though. Oh no, because if you shadow stitch and say 160 would set up next turn if you got a Guzma on the Staryu, but Regirock doesn't count.
Don't worry, I'll top deck it.
Top deck Ranger.
Can I really go for Jet Punch here and just lose to a Sycamore? I have to cash in on the 160, don't I? Oh, it's so bad.
Mindy, if you get Starmie out, you could be in a lot of trouble. Could be game over if you get Starmie out.
Do I just have to Jet Punch and pray? I guess I do.
Yeah.
Let's go. We hit this one, so he can't just retreat and put us in the same spot. Oh, he top decked Sycamore. What a guy. Oh no! Why wasn't I sat on a Sycamore? Oh no! Oh
no! What's the opponent's user ID?
Brilliant.
Oh dear.
As soon as Luke gets it there. Oh.
Oh no! 190 HP, save me one time. Save me one time.
Bodie's coverage of this weekend was stellar. It was really good.
Was it?
Yeah, I was because obviously
of course it doesn't.
Their tournament was a bit earlier because of the time zone. I was actually awake when it was happening, and it was really good when he was covering top 8.
Was it live?
No, he didn't stream it or anything. He was just updating stuff as it went on.
Nice.
Which was cool.
Nice.
Alright, let's get to the topics at hand. Literally. When frogs beat you. Literally just... Okay. Let's start in Turin, I guess. Let's start on our home turf.
Oh, we'll go put my glasses on to see that.
So, yeah, I'm making it bigger. What do you want from
Shut
me,
up, Luke.
It's a bloody top 35.
No, I wasn't taking the piss. I was genuinely being serious. I need to put my glasses on to see that. It's so small.
Love Art by Nicola. Oh, because it was reported by an Italian guy. That's why. Okay. Turin. So, in Turin, here is the top 8. It was overall won by Robin Schultz, playing Zoropod. Very similar to Todd's original list. I think he just made a couple of cuts. I think he added a max potion, cutting down one of his field blowers, and I think Mr. Mime may have come out for a Evo Soda, if memory serves. But bottom line, super close to Todd's list, ended up taking the event.
Yeah.
Zoropod. He of course also played Zoropod in London himself, Robin, so very experienced with the deck. And there were still some other Zoropods in the top 8. 2 others made it. So, still looking very strong. We have a Lycanroc Buzzwole. That was all the rage in Memphis. That ended up coming in top 8. Like I said, I don't know the actual final standings. This may be the final standings. I don't even know. I think this is the standings after Swiss, though. Benji is going to be in the chat, and he might be able to fill us in a little bit more, because he was there playing Zoropod. We saw Guardy Sylveon make it into top 8. One Drampa Garbodor from Philip Schultz. I'm really interested to see his list. Really, really interested to see how his list functioned and how he adapted it to the meta, because it has to be an adaptation of the deck. It can't be how it used to be, I don't think. Do you guys think he could have just gone in with an old school Drampa Garb, or do you think it was heavily changed?
It's really weird because we're in that point now where the format's starting to come back round full circle into different things. I think it would probably be pretty similar. I think Espeon is still annoying for things to deal with, but
Benji's just put
especially
Bloodwell. He's playing Celesteela and Shining Mew, so it's a hyper energy acceleration build, which is pretty cool.
Okay. Yes. If I remember correctly, didn't Todd play that deck against you on stream a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, he did. So maybe that was
Interesting.
tank around that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think obviously it's got to adapt, especially with all this fighting around. Drampa feels a lot weaker right now, but Garbodor feels really strong, which is weird.
Yeah, it's a weird balance.
So, but like against anything that isn't fighting, Drampa's always been a pretty efficient attacker. 180 for 3 on turn 2 is still going to be a headache for a lot of decks. I just think Garb kind of fell out of favour because of Zoroark ever since London, but it's always got legs just because ability lock's always going to be an issue, especially as we've seen this weekend, abilities are even better than ever.
And I think looking at lists, a lot of people have really gone cheeky on field blowers. Like, probably cheeky enough that Garbodor can almost peep back into the metagame.
Yeah,
I would say. Literally was what I was just about to say. It's come to that point where people have sort of forsaken Garb, so they've cut down their field blowers to a level where Garb will actually be good again. So we're at that turning point.
Yeah, it's weird to say that Drampa's now in that sort of limbo spot where you have to pick your points for it to work, but inherently it's still such an insanely powerful card that when you pick your point in the metagame based on how many field blowers are being played, it can really be deadly to people.
Yeah.
Definitely.
JD37, thanks for following. Tubbs, glad you're here.
Bodhi came 8th. Please update your list accordingly.
It's down here, man. The top 8. Simone Soldo and Andre Scubal, both Frog boys for life. I'm pretty sure I've seen these guys play Frogs before, and a lot. I remember Simone Soldo kicked my ass back in Worlds playing Frogs way back when.
Was that Banterbox?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Double Talon start, double E hammer on turn 2. See you later.
Off you go.
I'll scoop now.
You have a good deck.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not just cheaters who can do well with Frogs. It's good players as well, apparently.
Yeah.
It seems to be doing well, but over this weekend, they didn't win anything.
No.
It seems to have a presence, but it just doesn't.
What, Frogs?
Yeah.
I mean, Frogs will always have a presence because there's people that will die by Frogs, and it is. I still stand by the statement that it is one of, like, when set up, it is debatably the strongest deck in format because it's got ability lock and so much damage output all on a non-EX.
Yeah.
I think that
It's just
one of the things that's underrated for me is the conversion rate of Frogs is actually pretty high because it has such a stigma against it that its conversion rate is like always high based on how many were in the room to how many succeeded. It's just
I feel like a lot of good people stick with it as well.
Yeah.
Like, good players stick with Greninja like through and through, which is why the conversion rate is also pretty high because they know what they're doing with Greninja and they get over the hump that, or like a lot of people see Greninja's going to brick and, like you say, don't play it, but people have just got to the point now where they've been playing it for so long, like, yeah, it will brick, but so will any deck, so let's just play Greninja and win games because it's an insanely good card if people aren't playing Tina Promo.
And most importantly... Damn it, Frogs, why won't you die?
Now, I think someone said in the comment section earlier on as well that all the top tables in Memphis at one point was Greninja. Someone mentioned in the comment. Do you think it's time for decks such as Greninja to start putting Tina Promo back in?
I was surprised to see that a lot of the Zorro Lycanroc weren't playing them.
Yeah.
I think one of the first things I looked at when I looked at the Lycanroc build over Glycopod was like, straight away, I need a Tina in here if I ever want to win that matchup.
Yeah.
And I thought that Greninja already had decent matchups because we figured out that the Glycopod Zoroark is pretty 50-50 against Frogs.
Yeah.
And people were sort of thrown off Frogs by looking at that, but when you actually test the matchup, it's close. So going into Memphis... Oh, sorry. Go on.
It's another one of those things, though, because people are like, forget frogs, it's going to brick, and they kind of write it off. I think a lot of people write it off and assume everyone else is going to write it off as well, which is again why we keep seeing the same people doing well with it. Because a lot of people are like, oh, people are writing it off, so I don't need to play Tina Promo, and I'll just take the bad matchup to frogs because no one's going to be playing frogs. When it turns out the same people are playing frogs, and when even more so when you're not playing the Tina Promo tech against them, they're just going to have a field day because they're going to know matchups, they're going to know how to play the deck, and you're not playing the one card that you need to stop them from like essentially setting up exactly how they want to, provided they don't brick. So I feel like it's another thing because people don't respect frogs as an archetype on the whole. A lot of people just write off Tina Promo because it's a waste of a slot.
I think it's the deck that most people try and duck and dive as well, hoping that they don't hit more than 2 in a day. I think a lot of the time.
People assume it will brick as well. They're like, oh, Greninja will brick anyway, so
yeah, which does happen, obviously. But
well, it doesn't. I was looking. I can't remember where it was, but there was definitely an article. It was around London time because I was considering frogs for London myself.
Michael,
and there was so many.
An article, Jack.
What you know? Interesting. And like frogs bricks as much, pretty much as much as any other stage 2 deck. People just always like they see it in the wrong perspective. They're like, oh, it bricks in 1 in 10 games, but people brick that one game and like, oh, it bricks loads. I'm not playing this. Whereas Guardian brick one game, they're like, oh yeah, it just bricked one game. It doesn't matter. It's a stage 2 deck. People kind of, I think, because it's got such this like stigma behind it about it bricking. People see the bricking as worse than it actually is.
Yeah, maybe potentially.
I think as well, you got to remember as well from when you've got no more dive ball, no level balls, and you do have Brooklet Hill. I guess the format this weekend was right for Greninja because most of these fighting decks are playing Brooklet Hill. Really, so you've got a bit more reliance on your turn 1. Because I think, obviously, Greninja gets to a point where it's pretty much going to be everything if it sets up to that level. It's just navigating your way through the first couple of turns and leaving yourself with a reasonable board state. But I think it's only going to get better with Cynthia as well, which worries me.
Yeah, that does really... It's going to frustrate me because it's so boring. But anyway.
Greninja's not going...
But yeah, it's still around. Don't think that just because Michael Long got done for cheating means that the deck's gone. There are still going to be frog boys out there.
Confirmation bias. That's what I'm about. That's the thing I was trying to about.
I think it does brick more than the stage 2s because the stage 2s have got this high lay count and things like that.
It definitely does, but I think people see the bricking as worse because it's got the stigma behind itself that it bricks.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So not too surprising in Turin, really. These are all archetypes that we've seen before. I think Garb Drampa was probably the biggest surprise of the tournament, and Benji was saying that Ojvin's list was very interesting. Didn't play any Max Potion. It was obviously a Sylveon list, but it did play Judge. So maybe something like you judge them into a Magical Ribbon to hurt them and get you into Optimal. Maybe that's the play he goes for.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Could be a pretty cool line to go for.
Judge and Plea is...
Or Judge and Plea, yeah. That's also pretty rude.
See you later.
Into their candies as well, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, good stuff. On to Brisbane. So, Zoro... Oh, I didn't put the... Let me get the players' names on here. I've got to credit these people. They're bloody top 8 of the regional. What am I doing?
Yeah, these decks did well. Who cares who?
Yeah, exactly.
A deck as well.
More Lycanroc. Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I'll hop back in a second. Let me... Oh, I don't want someone's report. Here we go.
Jack is our own frog boy. I mean, I'll always play frogs more than Joe, so I guess I am. I don't think
0.
I'm gonna say I don't think Luke's ever picked up a frog card either, so
No.
I probably am genuinely the only person in this.
I've
school
never
that's
played
ever
frogs and never will. I mean, to be honest, I can't actually remember ever, other than Blastoise in the way back when. I can't ever remember playing the stage 2 deck in the tournament. Blastoise.
Yeah, super English.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played the stage 2 deck in a competitive tournament.
Wow. You
Blast
suck.
turtle.
Blastoise.
Damn it, Facebook. Stop memeing
I'll play
on me.
Ninja again before rotation. I'll definitely play Ninja again before rotation.
Right, let me do it this way. I'll pulse across, get this back on. I'm just going to blame
Frog
willy-nilly
memes
do
on
it.
the
I'm an
Discord are
absolute
strong.
champ, aren't
Where's my phone? I
I?
wasn't ready to be on a stream tonight.
Techno Kid has said he's got the final standings after Swiss.
Oh,
with the
that's
names
also
and
really
stuff.
helpful as well, actually.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I thought Bodhi posted earlier. Maybe not. The frog memes are strong. I can't see these frog memes. Yes, I can.
Bodhi said he put them above somewhere.
Where are they?
I'm on it now anyway. Oh, but for the top 8 breakdown, that would be really good.
So top 8 was Golly Zorro.
Hold on. Okay, I'm back.
Golly Zorro, DQ.
So, Kaiwan
So-
was the DQ? I think that's what someone was saying in chat.
Buzz like 'em.
He was one of the Buzz Lycan Rocks. There's 3 of them.
Yeah, he was one of the Buzz Lycan rocks. So it's Golly Zorro, Buzz Lycan, Volk,
Metagross Solgaleo sneaking in there.
Desi, Golly,
So who won?
Metagross.
Sorry, Brent won, did he?
The names haven't updated for me yet, so I don't know. I've just got the decks.
Oh,
at the
Tyson
moment.
won? Okay, so Tyson was first.
Oh, sweet. There we go.
Kaiwan's 2013 world champion. Well, that's pretty grim, isn't it?
Kaiwan got DQ'd.
That's pretty grim.
What was that?
James came 3rd. Blake was 4th. So Volt got top 5.
Just see what you put.
What?
Oh, wow.
Holding no punches.
Well, why should we? To be honest.
I mean,
No.
they're going to
The
say...
thing that disappoints me is because I say, I spoke to my mate Amy over the weekend.
Yeah.
She messaged me about it because obviously everything was going on with the other Michael Long and that, and apparently he has been DQ'd and been in trouble for cheating multiple times, and nothing's ever come of it. Apparently, there's been 3 or 4 occasions where he's been caught or accused cheating, but he's been DQ'd before, and he's never been banned or anything.
Grim. So, I mean, he's playing a good deck. But, yeah.
Props for deck choice.
Props for that.
Slops for cheating.
Slops for being an absolute Beetlemon.
Absolute clown shoes,
Yeah.
some would say.
To be an ex-world champ as well, it's like, what's it called? Who's the cyclist who got done?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong.
Lance.
What's
First
his
guy
name?
to
It's
cycle
the
on
other
the moon.
Armstrong.
Lance.
Lance Armstrong, there you go. Neil Armstrong's another cheat. They're both bloody cheaters, aren't they? Anyway.
Fed up them all.
Fed up. They're probably doing videos in the same room. One was on the moon, one was... I don't know.
Look at me,
On the moon.
Not on the moon. Anyway.
Oh, dear.
Michael Long is Canadian, he's not American.
Yeah.
Moon conspiracy.
Nay, cheaters, nay.
Come on, guys. Come on now.
Nay.
But anyway, the actual top 8, Metagross Solgaleo is a big, like, WTF for me.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get here? It feels like, for me, with the increase of Lycanroc, not only in Zoroark decks, but also Buzzwole, it makes life a lot worse for Stage 2s because they can always target down the primary Pokemon, and that can always be a problem. It makes like a low-end Vulpix a lot less useful because they can N and Gust in the same turn.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. Definitely a big deal. And a lot of the time... Go on.
Metagross really surprised me because everything has 210 right now. Everything has 210 right now. So considering it's only a 101 Solgaleo, that Solgaleo must have put in work against the Stage 1 matchups.
Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah.
I know we've made fun of it for being Exodia, but it's the only way you win against
everything
in this top 8.
Yeah.
Apart from Volk, I guess. It's your only win condition. Like, Buzzwole having 190 is just too much. You've got to play Delmise to even have a hope in hell. So that's a standout. Not like an anomaly, because obviously he's probably played well and everything. But, like, you'll see that, I mean, it wasn't in Turin, and it certainly wasn't in the top 35. So, it's definitely surprising to see it in here.
It's another one of those decks, though. It's obviously not top tier, as you can see by all the other results. But once it gets set up, there's not much that can beat it. It can just run through you completely, as long as you get your couple of Metagross and Solgaleos down.
Yeah.
H2, you think you can out-heal some of those 210 HP decks? Maybe you can out-heal Buzzwole. Maybe you can out-heal the Lycanroc builds. But you definitely can't out-heal Destiny.
No, it's not Zoropod.
I'd be interested to see what his matchups in Swiss were.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Seeing as there's obviously no Guardian other than the rest of the top 8.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's no Guardian cut, so I'd be interested to see how popular Guardian was at the tournament in general. Because if Guardian was popular and just none of them converted, then I could see him having a pretty nice run. But if it was more of just what we've seen in top 8, then there may be something in his list that helped with those Stage 1 matchups.
For sure. But yeah,
18 Gardevoir decks in Masters, and I think it was like a 120 turnout, so that's like a sixth of the field.
That's still high, right? That's still
high.
Yeah.
But the conversion rate of Buzzwole Lycanroc is again really high. Like, it sort of was stirring around in cups. Obviously, it did the amazing results in London, but it felt like everyone sort of got the memo that this is the deck to play this weekend.
Yeah. We spoke about this last week, didn't we, Joe, at some point? I was saying it's not on anyone's radar. No one's putting articles out about it. It's just sort of people don't seem to be giving it the value it deserves, because it did make 2 top 8s at London and it did perform well.
I think everyone wanted it to be the sleeper just so no one played Mewtwo's and stuff, it seems like. Everyone.
And then it's turned up and took this weekend by storm.
Because if you think about it, if you were to look at like meta charts and stuff, which we'll probably do after this, you'll look at London, and like the big deterrent for Buzzwole at the time was Garbodor, and that completely fell off.
Yeah.
So when that's gone, it's like Buzzwole can be unleashed, and that's pretty much what happened this weekend, I feel, in many ways.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But still lots of both Zoropod variants rather than Zoro Lycanroc, and one Zoro Desi. I think that's had a bad weekend overall, for the amount of hype behind it.
I thought that was a really good call this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think there were like three in Memphis, right?
Let me see.
2 or 3?
Only 2 in top 35.
And
I think it was heavily played. It was heavily.
I feel like a lot of people were talking about it.
I know Mace has been talking about it. I know Pendarvis and Igor Costa and lots of high-profile players have been talking about it.
Yeah, I know Igor played it. I saw him on stream.
But yeah.
Interesting. But again, it's this Stage 2 thing with everyone playing Zoroark now. Lycanroc, now. They can just get rid of either your draw engine, which is Zoroark, or early Rowlets, and you just never really develop, I guess.
It is a little bit awkward, I'm sure.
Interesting.
And Volk getting top 4.
I
also thought Volk was pretty solid this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Again, that seems to be a deck that wasn't piloted by a lot of people.
Yeah. I was looking at it a minute ago. I was surprised at the
I think
lack of Volk in the verse 2.
I guess people were still umming and ahhing that Guardi would be so popular because obviously it still did well in London and it was being touted as the best deck going into this event, I think, by a lot of people. Yeah. Alongside Zoroark builds. So maybe there was a bit too much fear, but maybe in the next few regionals, in a similar way to Buzzwell, now that people will be playing less Gardevoir, presumably, it could open the door for Volk to be better again. So that's something to keep an eye on.
I feel like that's exactly what Guardi wants, though. I think Guardi it needs one tiny little meta shift to be insane again.
Shift towards Volk, or just a shift in general?
A shift away from Lycanroc. I think it can deal with everything but Lycanroc right now.
Is it going to shift away from Lycanroc, though?
Surely.
No. Surely not.
There's nothing before. There's only Leipzig and one American regional before Australia, right?
Yeah.
So I could see it being good again for Australia.
It's just cups.
Yeah.
I think it's Leipzig and there's also Dallas regional. Oh, that's expanded. Okay. So yeah, it's basically just League Cups and Leipzig.
Okay. So Guardi could. I guess it depends on what happens on Leipzig.
Yeah.
But interesting.
But for Leipzig, Volk could be on the radar.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Someone's put some interest in the chat, Joe, just for you.
Sorry, go on.
You and me.
What do I think of Xerneas?
What do you think of Xerneas?
Oh boy.
I think it's actually insanely placed in that meta.
There was actually a lot of the Zoroark variants were playing parallel.
Oh, were they?
Parallel with puzzles, which could be an issue. And they're playing Eagerness.
Less well placed.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not insanely placed. It's better placed than a field of Guardi Sylveon.
Yeah.
But anything is. I don't know. Is Volk?
I think the problem is Lycanroc with a strong energy one-shot Xerneas.
Kreckler was playing Xerneas Silvally. Jeez, man. What a guy.
I like
was
it.
Your quickest win as Buzzgarb in Memphis. That's interesting, because I always found... I guess it depends how many Field Blower they play. I'm assuming Volk lists were pretty greedy in Memphis. I'm assuming they were playing one or none a lot of the time for Field Blowers. Field
Blower is always a card I never like cutting, though. It's so weird. Like, I've seen lists that are playing so little, but it's always a card that I hate to cut, because it's so important in the matchups it's important in.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather just have them and ditch them if I don't need it than not have them, because I think it's a card that you really, really rely on.
I think more often than not, people were upping their stadium counts over anything else, because a lot of the fear was just parallel rather than Garbodor going into the tournament anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. This weekend I played a couple of cups and both my lists played 2 Field Blower, and I'd say I got very minimal effective use out of the weekend, but when I'm looking through my decks to make cuts and changes, it's never a card I consider taking out, because it's just important, especially if you're playing decks that rely on abilities and Garb does crop up. Mm-hmm. You do need it. Okay,
so let's hop over to... I'm going to have to make the text a little bit smaller because we've got to look at the top 35.
I'm going to get my glasses back on.
I guess we can just look at the full summary. I had it all down here, but someone also did a summary in the same page.
Yeah.
So 10 Zoro Lycanrocs as the most popular deck in top 35.
The memo got out there.
It did definitely get out there. What's interesting as well was there was this sort of like challenge between some of the top teams that happened before the event, and I don't know if that sort of skewed anyone's choices on the day.
Yeah, potentially.
Potentially could have.
It would be interesting to see whether the teams played the same deck as for the actual regional compared to the challenge.
Yeah. But Lycanroc definitely running rampant in top 35, because then the second most popular deck was the straight Buzzwell Lycanroc.
19. That's insane.
And when I saw Pablo, I thought I had him to win the tournament when I looked at the top 8.
Yeah.
We'll see how far he got, but I really liked his list as well. I think 59 cards correct for Pablo. It's exactly what I said about his Worlds deck. Oh man, I'm such a scumbag. But yeah, he's so good in game as well. I really like watching him just because he just plays right every time I see him play on stream.
Yeah.
Okay. 3v Kabulu, what happened? Someone saw the OmniPoke video, boys. It got out there.
Were any of them playing Octillery?
I've seen one list with a 1-1 line. I've not seen the other two lists.
I went to 2 cups this weekend.
Yeah.
On the Saturday I went to Manchester, and I would say close to 50% of the field was Vikabulu.
That's insane.
And I played straight Buzzwold with Regirox and stuff, and it just it's a terrible matchup. And that was a terrible choice for the day.
What's the difference between mine and Pablo's list? I just play Super Rod over Stretcher because it's an Elixir deck. That's the only difference.
I love it.
But yeah, Vikabulu, like we've said, Garb has gone away, and this is one of the most powerful ability decks out there, to be fair to it. And again, if you think that Guardy underperformed or under-showed up to the tournament, that was one of the question mark decks for Vikabulu. That was one of the scary matchups, and now everything looks gravy. So, and even these Lycanroc builds that can aggressively bring up Vikavolt, I think Buzzwole Lycanroc can deal with Vikavolts themselves quite quickly, but the Zoroark list can't even gust it up very easily. We're
going to say Zoro needs to actually attack with the Lycanroc as well.
Yeah.
So, what was really interesting in this dynamic matchup, I saw it once on stream, and I saw it at a cup I went to on the Sunday, where it was that list versus Vikabulu, so like a Buzzwold, Lycanroc, or Zoroark, Lycanroc. And in both in person and on the stream game, they were targeting down the Vikavolts.
Right.
And people were just... One person took 6 prizes with one... Tapu Bulu.
Just because they weren't discarding?
Because they weren't dealing with it. So, because they were targeting all the Grubbins and things on the bench, like he'd hit them for 120. Yeah. They'd target someone on the bench. He'd KO something. They would come in and say hit him for whatever damage. It was in Zoroark variant, so 120, 150. Yeah. He'd like Guzma up a Lele, GX attack. And the next turn he can discard and blow up.
Yep.
So it's a really weird dynamic. I found it very interesting, and I watched the game on stream, and then I watched the game in Sunday, thinking, I wonder if he's watched the stream game and saw how this goes. No, because it happened exactly the same. It was like watching a complete repeat of it.
I think the ball is in the Vikabulu player's court to play well. They have to anticipate that their Vikavolt will die at any turn. Basically.
Yeah. The thing with Vikabulu, I don't know what it is about Vikabulu, but I feel like it's a deck that you can really, if you know the matchup of how to beat Vikabulu, it really suffers to people knowing how to play against it. But like you say, when people don't know how to play against it and just go for the Vikavolt when there's a Bulu staring them down, like Bulu is such an insane attacker that you can't. Yes, you need to get rid of their energy acceleration, but only if you know that's it, and you can take a hit from a Bulu and deal with it the next turn. Because if you can't, you then need to definitely prioritize the attacker and just pray that they're not able to find another Bulu and that kind of thing, rather than just letting this Bulu live.
So maybe
I think it's really well placed right now, if I'm honest. I'm surprised there wasn't more. I know it's a stage 2 deck, and I'm not a huge fan of stage 2 decks, but I think it is well placed at the moment. Looking how the performance is, the 2 cups I went to, there's not much in there that sort of you'd say outright beats it every time.
And again, similar to Frogs, when there's lots of Brooklyn Hills around, it's really good for artillery-based decks. So you can get your double Grubbin and you can get a Remoraid established quite quickly a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
I think that was a problem. A lot of lists I saw the weekend. I tested on Friday night. I had Shay and Dimitri over, and they had a Vikavolt list, which I think was very similar to yours, Joe. And then I played against, and it was just beating me every time with Buzzwole. And I played against one without double artillery in the cup on Saturday, and I beat it because it just doesn't have the same consistency.
Come on, guys, get on my level. Come on, team. But in seriousness, I saw Freddie's list, the double League Cup winning list, and it is very interesting. Playing a high Giovanni scheme count. It means you never miss against Guardi, which is pretty cool. I guess that's one of the issues of only playing 2 Kukui. Whereas if you change your draw engine to be 4 Giovanni schemes, you have it against Guardi, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't like that you didn't have the artillery support. I think if you're going for a Giovanni scheme route, you need to play artillery to support it.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really creative from him. There was a lot of interesting choices in his list. But I think the Giovanni scheme would be one that I would look at twice and be like, I might implement this instead of playing 2 Kukui. I could see myself going higher if I can be Giovanni scheme instead.
So if you look at the list as well, he played a Mute and a Clefairy and Fury bouts. So his list was designed to beat the mirror. His list, I think he played 3 mirrors on the day. I think he beat them all.
Mm-hmm. His tool split, He played the split, didn't he, of tools?
Yeah.
He is a good
in the mirror
as well. He is a very good Vikabudu player. He's been playing the deck like ever since London. He was playing the deck before London, just with Summer for cups and stuff. And it was I'm pretty sure it was just London that he didn't play it for himself.
Yeah.
So he's been playing the deck for a while as well. So he knows how to beat the mirror, which is obviously why he made those calls.
And I know that he's definitely chatted to John Roberts about it as well. So he's got the scoop of how to play the deck. Okay. Zoropod, 3 placements. Only 3 placements. The deck that I thought was the Badiff going into this event. Many people jumped off the Zoropod train to go to Zoro Lycanroc. They're very similar builds. Again, I think 3 is a reasonable conversion rate, but not as high as I would have expected. There's still the debate that Tord and Benji say that Golisopod is favoured against the Lycanroc build, so there might be an interesting power struggle between these 2 decks going forward.
Yeah, I was talking to Tord about it on the Discord the other night, and he's pretty sure Golisopod has the edge.
What makes him think it's the edge? Is it just the targeting down of energy, or is it the...
Let me find Discord, because I don't want to misquote him. I can't remember whether he said exactly what he thought it was, or whether... Because we were talking about the long thing as well, so it kind of got stuck half. It was in the middle of a conversation, but let me see whether... Let me see what he said, so I don't misquote him.
Fran mentioned that he didn't want to face Sauropod. Yeah, I guess it's something going on.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 Guardies. This is probably, alongside the success of Lycanroc stuff, 2 Guardies was also a big tale of the weekend. Touted as, broken deck. Probably most people's Badiff. I think when I made my trademark post, I think Guardi was the highest. A lot of people were also saying Buzzwole Lycanroc, to be fair, and they actually followed through with it for once. Typically my posts don't end up echoing the actual tournament themselves, but
all Tord said was he was happy to write a 10-page article on why Zoropod was better.
Okay, cool. Benji.deck, don't even try, Benji. Okay. But yeah, Guardi, not too hot really. I think in order for Guardi to keep up, so Luke was saying that there only needs to be a couple of twists and turns, or was it Jack? I can't remember. But one of you was saying it only takes a little push for it to be back on Badiff. What do you think it needs to add into the list to cope with, heavy Buzzwole around and heavy Lycanroc targeting down your Curliers and stuff? How does Guardi react to that?
I think it's difficult, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't
think there is any hard counter or hard way to do it, other than obviously
I think
Maximising your Bridgets, yeah.
Sticking with the 4 max potion build, I still think is correct.
Defend against.
Obviously, that doesn't deal with the Lycanroc killing your first Curlier. So maybe going up to like a 3rd Curlier to try and evolve 2 on your turn 2 instead, rather than going for, as well as the candies you've got, maybe trying to find space for a 3rd Curlier so you can always develop 2 rather than just developing 1 and praying 1 gets through this first wave of Lycanrocs.
With that mentality, do we ever look towards something like Diancie? It's a wild speculative question. I don't expect you to say yes. It's
yeah. I still don't like the fact that Diancie needs an attachment and Vulpix doesn't. Especially given that the max potion builds are already only running 7 energy.
Yeah.
That's a 6. So you've only got 6 left for Guardies, and I would not feel safe one-shotting stuff with Guardies at 6 energy. Admittedly, the deck with max potions tends to one-shot stuff less because you tend to just attach and poke and take a hit and poke and take a hit. But the ability, like the fact that Guardy always has this, has access to be able to just attach 5 energy in a turn and blow whatever is up in your face.
Yeah.
You'd feel a lot weaker doing that.
The main reason I ask is mainly just because of things like Luxray and Glaceon going forward. Maybe that's a little bit down the line, but maybe that's something we could consider more of in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we get to that point, there's going to be a lot more metal about anyway.
Maybe.
Rumour has it metals.
I might be.
Anyway. Yeah, I personally can still see myself playing Guardy for Leipzig, so I'm definitely going to try and work out how to deal with this new wave.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not. I think just trying to make sure you can get a candy and a Curlier, or 2 Curliers down on turn 2 as much as possible, is going to be important.
There's nothing even sort of quirky that I can think off the top of my head that can prevent sort of abilities on to your bench, other than obviously Magana, which is that just
Magana
attacks, isn't it?
Let's go.
Yeah. It's a very weird one. I mean, is Bronzong just attacks and damage?
No, cause I think it stops shurikens and stuff as well. I can't remember.
There you go.
Wait, that would be
Secret
pretty OP.
tech.
I can't remember.
If you're playing Mime, it's only a 1/1 edition. Only 1 edition.
I can't remember Bronzong compared to Mime. There's lots going on.
You heard it here first, guys.
Turin was Laura beating Tamao. Sign her up, boys. Sack Tamao.
Last round as well.
Yeah, I know, winning in.
Let's get them on.
I think it was
the
winning
real
in the top 32. I think she did.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, she made top 32.
Nice.
She almost caught me on points.
She's done you, mate. She's done you.
Oh, dear.
I can guarantee that Tamao didn't, accidentally lose or, give up or anything. I'm pretty sure he tried hard.
Yeah.
He wanted the bragging rights.
Yeah, he did. I've been with him all afternoon when did some shopping in the back. And Laura brought it up a few times.
Tamao's sold.
So, yeah.
So she slept outside. Okay. 2 Decizoros. Only 2, I say cautiously, because this is another deck that was on a lot of people's radars, and a lot of people were putting it in amongst tier 1, or they were saying it was high tier 2.
I think it was high tier 2.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone was just saying Guardian, Zoro.
I think Guardian, Zoro Pod were the so high in people's tier 1 list that everything else kind of was tier 2 at least.
I mean, one person said that Genesect Registeel was tier 1, but Wesley 44 is now following. I mean, some people are just not always right about these things.
I understand why that didn't do as well with Buzz Lycanroc doing so well, because obviously that matchup with your snipe damage, your strong energies, if you play Regirock, you can just manipulate the board state and damage so that you just take out before they get into Decidueyes, you can just obviously mean look or whatever it's called them up and just take them out because you're sniping around and the math works out quite well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bloodthirsty Eye. Pretty much any Elixir deck has to worry about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why Lycanroc's so insane, because you're getting the first hit on the most relevant attacker on their board, and that's really important.
While still getting the support for turn.
Yep. One of the Decidueyes was Igor. Oh, that's pretty cool. He's been piloting it from the off, pretty much, so not too surprising. Plus, it's Igor.
Epa's just hit us with a random Finland fact. Speeding tickets are based on your income. There you go. Bam.
Okay. The guy
Who's
who said
outside?
Ready Steel Genesect was tier 1 also dropped in round 5. Poor Finn. He tests so much as well. Sadness.
Yeah.
Luke is in a helicopter.
Luke is in a helicopter. Okay.
And then on to the one-offs.
Then the one-offs, the wonderful one-offs. We have Wishy Washy Hooper, my personal favourite deck in the world.
Oh, why did someone have to go and do... I've never felt like this about a deck. But it's been so nice not having control all the decks in the format for like a year.
And they got 5th seed day 1 as well, so it was high up there. I think he finished 10th after day 2. He was killing it, man.
What happened?
He was doing well, son. I'm so glad I didn't end up making top 8, just because it is boring, and
people will still play it though.
I mean, to me, it's like, in a vacuum, it's a worse Quad Lapras. In a vacuum, it really is, because you don't have a draw engine behind yourself.
Oh.
You're literally just walls.
So my question is, we obviously saw Heatmore Raichu do well in London.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been nowhere.
Okay.
Yep.
It's been in League Cups, sure, but fundamentally it's been nowhere. Is the same going to happen with Wishy Washy? Do you think this has any more legs? Or...
One of the things we saw, I know it's like a completely different case, because the 4E hammer in Azul's list is more tempo based rather than like stall based. But I think a lot of the decks we have right now are stallable. I think a lot of the archetypes can be run out of resources. And that's why we've seen things like the Heatmore Raichus and stuff like that pop up in their 1s and 2s here and there. I think a lot of the top decks are exploitable in that regard.
My question is, how do you pull out a Wishy Washy from your binder and end up sleeving it up? Like,
I don't know.
I'd love to know. I'd love to know his thought process.
It was probably after seeing the expanded whales do well, to be honest. I think.
Yeah.
Because let's be fair, expanded and standard are actually like the closest they've been in a while in terms of what decks transfer over to one another.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
just Night March on top.
Yeah, slap a Night March in there.
So I actually, on the Cup on Saturday, I played against something very similar. It was Quad Hooper and 3 Regigigas.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously 180 HP on a non-GX is essentially for a lot of decks the same as Wishy Washy with 210, because obviously Choice Band doesn't factor in.
Yeah.
We played, I think, 4 Fury bouts and stuff as well.
Gross.
The problem is it can be played around. Good people will figure out a win condition and what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So not benching many things he can't be. Because I think the guy played on Saturday, played 4 counter catcher.
Nice.
So obviously they attack with one thing and they just keep counter catching up other things.
Yeah.
The problem for that version was Gallade literally runs through it. Completely run through it because all weak to fighting.
Mm-hmm.
My tactic against it was I actually played a bench pseudo Udo.
Yeah.
So because I played elixirs, I think I had 7 energy on a pseudo Udo at one point.
Jesus.
Just
I heard
keep
about
hitting them.
That is gross. Absolutely gross. Shay said that he's made improvements to the Reggie Hooper. I think he plays Reg Ice in there, so he doesn't get beetled by just a single Gallade.
Yeah.
The Reg Ice has been like memed on pretty hard, but I guess when you pair it with hammers and never actually try to attack, it's more viable than some may seem. But there's not actually that many stage 2s trying to hit you anymore. I guess it's only Guardy.
Yeah.
If the Reg Ice was all evolutions, it would be much more appealing. Do we think these sorts of
It'd
like
be really
Ninetales hammers or anything like that is worth it?
So another deck, speaking of my experiences, the weekend I played against that did well was Zoroark Ninetales with 3 baby Ninetales.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just targeting down, obviously, the non-GX and the X stuff.
Yeah. And
it got to the final of the Cup. It did quite well. Not many people have answers to a stream of non-safeguard Pokemon that can hit you.
So yeah, it just goes to show that it is exploitable right now. It's a tactic that's actually fairly viable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I just feel like I mean, we've seen obviously this weekend someone did it, and there are obviously cards that can do it. But I feel we've got on the whole quite a weak set of stall cards in general. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've seen this weekend that it can be done, but like
I think Lusamine is what's opened the door a lot of the time.
Yeah. But we've had so much premium. Like Wailord was the biggest for 3 or 4 years, just because 250 is insane. And like that's still played now and expanded. So I think just in general, while still can be done, it's still got some of the weaker cards for the stall archetype in general. It's getting more and more, especially as things like Baby Hooper are being released and that kind of thing. But it'll be interesting to see whether more people go for this stall approach, because there's decks that are running 6-7 energy at most. Mm-hmm. So you can definitely stall out with decks when we're in a format like that.
More Joe raging coming confirmed. Excellent.
It's not fun to play as, and I hope it doesn't get prevailing in the meta, because the meta is quite interesting at the moment. There is lots of different things going on, but that kind of deck is just, it's not fun for anyone to play against, is it? Let's be honest.
Will Glaceon and Jolteon EXC play? Probably less likely, because everyone's playing E-Hammer, so you can lose your lock. And for Glaceon, they can just Lele Bop, and for Jolteon, almost everyone's playing like evolving Pokemon. So
yeah,
those have probably seen their time.
Yeah, I don't think is there a tier 1 deck at the moment, or even tier 2 that doesn't have an evolution?
I guess Volk, but they can still Shell Trap.
Yeah.
I think almost everything has an out. Okay. The one Glyspod Garb, of course, came second in the end. It was a very interesting take on the list. It actually reminded me of Philip Schultz's very early Glyspod Garb deck that played double E-Hammer back in Bremen.
Yeah.
This time taken to the extreme.
The best Glyspod Garb list, you mean?
Clearly it was all along. Ross
beat
knows.
Us all.
He knows.
What a genius.
Make wild enough statements and one day they can come true in the context you didn't mean. Excellent.
Play those odds.
Okay. But yeah, what do we think? Have you guys seen his list?
Yes.
I haven't seen the full list. I just know it ran for E-Hammer, which I love.
Yeah, this is basically a tale of how strong E-Hammer can be. I was pretty much surprised to see him have A, space, and B, like, the means to play for E-Hammer in a deck that can be quite clunky already.
Oh, yeah. He didn't play Ace of Rollers, right?
No, he did.
Oh, did he? I heard somewhere that he didn't play much healing or anything.
That's what Philip did. He found
fair
his
enough.
cuts elsewhere.
Yeah, what interests me about it is we know everyone who's played it, and we've talked about in the stream before, is how that deck is very susceptible to late game end, especially when Garb is out in play.
Mm-hmm.
And get to the final in this format with a lot of things that can consistently hit and heal, and I just don't understand how it can fit the 4E hammer and keep consistency.
Yeah, Well, he didn't play any Trash Launch, did he? He just played
No.
the thinner Garb line.
Mm.
And only Glyspod as the attacker. So that's where he sort of made the spaces, which I guess aren't consistency cards in many ways, other than getting early Trubbish is pretty good.
Yeah.
But it really is a tale of how strong E-Hammer is right now. Covers so much. Covers everything, man.
Everything's playing special energy, and when you've got 4, you always hit it.
Yeah.
It's gross how often you can doubly hammer stuff. That's how gross that is.
Yeah. And it's a 2-hit KO deck, so trying to set people back tempo-wise is pretty important when you're not taking KOs every turn.
Yeah.
I quite like it. I think it's good to have a Garbodor in here as an equalizer to all these other decks. I imagine this will probably be the deck that gets adopted more so if people are trying to get too crazy with ability decks. I'm pretty happy to have an equalizer out there in the format.
Yeah. Golly Garb's always got that kind of quote-unquote safety to it.
Mm-hmm. So next up we have the Shining Genesect Venusaur Lurantis GX. Oh, hold on, they've actually forgotten Pokemon. There's also Artillery in here as well. Yeah.
Wow. Let's just add that little nugget of information in.
So it's heavy on elixirs. It played Wishful Baton, played a 1/1 Lurantis as extra reload, and it played Artillery and a 2/1/2 Venusaur line. What do we think? Have you all seen the list?
Yeah, I watched it on stream as well. Played.
Oh, I just had it open, but I accidentally closed it. Hang on a minute.
It played Gladion. Oh boy. Azul played Mewtwo. Yeah, that was probably a big contributing factor to how well he did as well. I think as we'll... Basically, I'm going to take this summary, and then we'll add on the decks from these 2 top 8s, and we'll make a total summary, and then we'll start trying to find themes and what to try and target. That's what we'll do after we finish with these 4 individual decks.
Super interesting, though, that one did so well.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people were talking about it when Shining Legends hit. I personally didn't rate the deck too much.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I thought in general Guardia was a better stage 2 because it was an attacker as well as a stage 2, but this is a non-EX, so don't ever underrate that.
It's a really different take from I think a lot of people's direction with Venusaur. I think a lot of people went more towards like a Vikabudu style where you have like the 3/1/3 Venusaur. I remember I had Elixirs and 4 EXP share in my list that I tried out for like 10 games and then binned.
For 10 minutes, then binned.
Wishful Baton really means that you can stack a silly amount of energy if it ever comes off.
Yeah.
I guess he reached 1-hit KOs. Was he mainly going for 2-hit KOs, Luke, from what you saw on stream? What was he
It was against, unfortunate for the opposition, it was against Greninja, so...
Oh, okay. Very good.
It was obviously quite favoured for him due to typing.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting is you don't realise how much damage that racks up, because 3 energy on the Genesect, and he 1-hit KOs a Tapu Fini. It just comes out of nowhere, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the thing.
That happened. Yeah.
So 170. The interesting was obviously no choice bands. I understand the Wishful Baton is actually better for sort of longevity of attackers.
Yeah.
But it can ramp up. 4 energy is a lot of damage. 4 energy is enough to KO 210.
Yeah. Because like I said, at the time when I made the build, I also had no choice bands and I just played 40 XP share.
Yeah.
I was onto something. I had it all along. But although it is a 1/1 line, I did really like the Lurantis. I think having enough fuel in the game would have been a big contributing factor to his success.
Lurantis can obviously be a big 1-hit KO with his GX attack.
Yeah.
Because it's 50 times basic grass,
Yeah.
so 2 energy and it's doing 200 damage.
Get a cheeky Wishful Baton on that guy and it's over.
Yeah.
Easy.
I think it's I like to see creative decks. I like to see something different and
Going
fun.
forward, can you see yourself playing a 2/1/2 stage 2 line and 2/1/1 stage 1 lines. Yeah.
Probably not, but I like the deck. I like its creativity, and I think it could have some potential.
I think this is the closest we've ever been to this kind of format. Like, it's been so basic heavy over the past like 4 or 5 years. This is definitely the closest we've ever been, and I think it's only going to stay like this for now. I don't think it's going to get any more basic heavy. I'm not saying at all that it's going to get more stage 2 heavy, but I think this is the kind of time to mess around with these types of decks right now, because obviously things like Lycan Rock being able to deal with your stage 1/2 early is even more of an issue when you've only got a 2/1/2 line. But in general, the format I think is slow enough where we can start to get to a point that these kind of decks are viable, which is a really good thing in my eyes, because I love decks like this as well.
Ugh.
And back in the day, 2/1/2 stage 2 lines weren't uncommon. So I personally like that we're in a format that can do this. I don't think the deck is powerful enough to stay like this, but I don't necessarily think this kind of build, a stage 2 and a stage 1 kind of build, is at all out of the question right now.
I think for me, it's just like it hit the right tournament where Field Blower was probably at the lowest it will be all season, and so was Garbodor, probably the lowest it will be all season. So I think it hit a sweet spot, and it probably hit some decent matchups along the way to make it. Yeah. I think overall it is an anomaly, despite the memery going on in chat and how much I want to say that Lurantis is top tier, and I knew it all along. Yeah.
But do you think? I don't think the archetype has legs, but I think the type of build has legs. A stage 2 and like a stage 2 support Pokemon. Like we're seeing that Magnezone looks to be very good coming out in Ultra Prism.
Mm-hmm.
And whilst that's probably going to be a thicker line than a 2/1/2 line, because of how important it is,
that's good to see for sure. Because
I think it's good to see that we might be able to get to a point where we can start not necessarily teching in stage 2 lines, but being in a format where we can safely play a bit of a thinner stage 2 line and know we're going to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like we were saying earlier, one of the reasons Lycan Rock focused decks are doing so well is because they can. This deck relies on Venusaur for a lot of matchups.
Yeah.
So if you're targeting, and he's only playing a 2/1/2 line, you target them down. You know you've pretty much got him.
But at the same time, I mean, he's been elixering, he's been attaching. It's similar to what you're saying about the Bulu, where there's still sticky stuff on the board.
Yeah.
But who knows?
And it's non-EX, so like that Genesect can take 4 prizes against you.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. One Greninja made it. Huzzah. I'm assuming this wasn't Michael. He got DQ'd before this, right?
Yeah, I think it was like round 3.
Different Frogman. Frog the Jam. One Volk Turtle. Just the one. Surprising.
Yeah, I think that is surprising.
And when you look at the top cut, it would have been so nice for a Volk player.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did make top 8, didn't he?
No, I don't.
I don't think so.
No, it didn't.
I don't think so.
But yeah, it feels to me on the surface that Volk is in a good spot.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's in quite a nice place for it at the moment. Guardy was obviously the biggest issue for the deck.
If they're being beaten down by...
I don't think it's got as... I don't think it's amazingly favoured against Zoropod even, and Zoro Lycan Rock. I think it's...
No, I think Zoro Lycan Rock is a deck that can definitely still deal with it. But against... It's another deck that, if it runs hot, it can beat anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs a lot less to run hot than Greninja. So, I think it can definitely do well.
What I would say, looking at this as well... Sorry, Jared.
Sure, I
thought you'd stop.
I was just... Yeah, I had.
One thing I will say, looking at this top 35, I would say that I would expect more Volk in the future. In the near future, I think it is quite well placed.
It'll be in a small uptrend. I would expect for Leipzig, it's got to be one that I'd either test myself to play for the event, or one that I would expect more of than it's showing right now.
Joe plays Volk? What?
Man,
Hold on a minute.
if I can play Sushi, it's
Yeah,
all
I was going to say,
possible.
if you could put an auxiliary in it, then
Shove that in,
you
and
play
I'm
anything.
happy. I've always liked Sushi Volk. I think on the channel we've done the most. I think we've done more Sushi Volks than
most of the
normal Volks.
most of the. I think I've got more points with Sushi Volk than regular Volk.
Yeah, there you go.
That's 15 from a league challenge with.
And finally, Buzzwell Garb. So again, the only other Garb variant to make it. So only 2 Garbodors total in top 35. Pretty incredible, really. I'm not sure if this Buzzwell played Elixirs. I know me and Luke were talking to each other about how we can fit it all in.
Yeah.
Whether you go heavy Acerola, single attachments each turn, or whether you go similar to the Lycanroc build, but instead of your stage 1 being Octillery and Lycanroc, instead you go heavier on the tools and fit Garbodor in. There could even be the debate to going Buzzwell Garb plus 4 E-Hammer in a similar vein that Glyspod did. Maybe that's a direction you can look into as well. I think that's one, again, I want to explore. I think last Monday when I got super triggered. No, last Wednesday I got super triggered playing Buzzwell Garb myself. But in all honesty, I think it has the similar early game aggression that all of these decks, all the other Buzzwell decks sort of hold. But they can have a more control style to it, and I think that's something that gravitates towards a lot of players, having more control aspect. So maybe that's something that I need to look into for the future as well.
It's an interesting format. I mean, you just look at those different decks. If you would have said beforehand, there would have been, 19, 18 Lycanroc focused decks?
Yeah.
In top cut, over half.
If you would have told me that, I probably would have played Genesect Venusaur, to be honest. What a meme. Okay, let me add on these extra decks to get an overall decks that made cut this weekend. Okay, so Glyspod Zoroark. Where are we? I can't see. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So that goes up to 8.
This is where Joe's day in, day out use of Excel comes in handy.
Loves it.
Delete these as I go, actually. Glyspod Zoroark, get out of here.
Got my Joe's math skills for.
Well, I hope it's better than his spelling skills over the last couple of Monday night streams.
It's a lot to take in, okay, Luke?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Possible Lycanroc. Quick maths that real quick.
Very good.
We'll keep this very important note right here. Guardy Sylveon. We'll put it together because Guardy's so sad right now.
Cries.
Drampa we put as 1. Greninja we add 2.
Joe, when are you doing a side Excel YouTube tutorial?
The Desi Zora gets its 3rd. Metagross Solgaleo gets a cheeky 1. And Volk gets in there again. Although it is Volk Turtle and Volk Ho-Oh, I think they're close enough that we can put it all together. Let's get this on a new sheet. We've also got the top 8 of Memphis, for those who don't know. So, Azul was playing Glycepod Garbodor. He lost in the finals to Pram, who was playing Zoroark Lycanroc. Pram beat Pablo, who was playing Buzzwole Lycanroc. Pablo played against Ben Potter in top 8, who was actually playing, I think, the same list as Michael, or they were playing very similar lists, which is interesting to see. As I said, when I saw the top 8, I thought Pablo was going to take it all. Because I think he was pretty favoured against Michael. People in the chat have saying he drew pretty poorly. Which I think you sort of have to lose that matchup. Take nothing.
Yeah, I watched that, and he started really poorly in all 3 games.
Yeah,
and he still managed to win one, and there was game 3 was fairly close. Game 3 was actually, if you haven't watched it, I would recommend watching that series, because game 3 as well was very swinging backwards and forwards, and who looked favoured and slight turns. And I think both players, if you want to see top level players playing very well in different cool circumstances, watch that game, because I think they both played very well, and it was a good game to watch.
Which was that? Sorry, the top 4.
Yeah.
That was like the final before the final, really. It almost seemed that way. Although Azul probably, I don't know, a lot of people had Azul as favoured going into the final, even against Pram, just because of the E-hammers.
Yeah.
Rahul and Pram played. I think they were playing, again, very similar 60s. I think Rahul's list was slightly more techie than Pram's. I think he played like a Mewtwo and a Buzzwole, whereas Pram was just as straightforward as can be. I would have thought Rahul, with the Buzzwole in there, maybe could have put some early shifts in, but I'm not sure how that game went. Did they stream every top 8? Luke, do you know?
No, it was one from each.
Oh, okay, one from each
section. It was sort of top 8, top 4, and then final.
Fair enough. Potter played multi-switch, Pram played Lotto. Yeah.
Lotto boys.
Significant differences. Yeah, I think there was definitely a few changes in there. Ahmed Ali. What was he playing? I can't remember what Ahmed played. He's been having a really good season. Can you guys remember what he was playing?
I'm not sure, if I'm honest.
No.
We can check the old Facebook, I think.
Someone will know, right? Guys, please.
Let me find it quickly. What's it called? Memphis. Top 35.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ahmed, where is he? 27. He was playing Zoro Lycanroc. Okay, so Azul did beat one to make it top 4, and then Benjamin Martinson was playing Glycepod Zoroark, of course. Still repping Norway. They're always showing up in these top 8s these days. And Mahone was playing, can we remember? I think he was another straight fighting list. What was he? 4th in day 1. Yeah, he was Buzzwole Lycanroc as well. So the conversion rate of Buzzwole Lycanroc was still really high.
Yeah.
So it did well in the top 35, and also 2 made it deep. Obviously, both going out in top 4. But that's still very deep into a 1,000 plus player tournament. So,
what's interesting to me at the moment, looking at this and looking at the players there, I think all of top 4 had won the regional in the last year.
Yeah, that looks about right.
People are. There's been a bit of stigma over Pokemon for the last couple of years. Some people have left the game and things. Because they're saying there's not enough skill-based formats. And I know, obviously, there's things that can sort of counteract it, but is it starting to go more that way? When you look at the same people doing well every tournament.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the most stacked top 8s I've seen, period. Over the last,
this is a huge... You're going to say this
years.
is a huge top 8.
This is
a
beast of a top 8.
Hasn't Ahmed Ali made top 8 3 times at regional?
Yeah, exactly.
If you combine the total CP of this top 8, it is huge.
Yeah. And even Ben Potter, he's been killing League Cups recently, and he's basically in Pram's team, so even though he's not had a huge amount of placements, he's playing the best deck at tournaments, basically, like every time, so this is stacked to all hell. This top 8, like,
Yeah.
This could be like a world's top 8, you know. And let's be honest, a 1,000 player tournament, this has to be respected almost as much as an internationals in my eyes.
Yeah, this tournament was huge. This was a huge turning point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that, like, other than like US Nats and then the NAIC last year, this is the only tournament to go over 1,000, right?
I think it was just shy still, wasn't it?
I think in the end it was dead on 1,000. I think over 1,000 people registered, but I think it was dead on it was either 999 or dead on 1,000 for final player count, which is huge for the game, especially when it's just this is a second to I guess you've got Worlds then the ICs, so this is like technically a second or third tier event. If you're going directly from the top, so that's huge. That's really, really big.
I just remembered I took someone did a really good post with the sort of increase of the game over the years.
Memphis, I just like to reference that.
Memphis was 949 apparently, according to his little spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
I wonder if that's post. 999 registered, but 9. See, I was sure it hit 1,000 registered because there was that huge Hey Fonte post.
Maybe.
About hitting 1K.
And
I just assumed it's 949 after drops.
So it's the second highest. Oh, that could be right. The second highest is Fort Wayne at 996, according to the spreadsheet.
Either way, though, like.
But yeah, what we're saying is the magnitude
over
of this tournament.
900 players is crazy.
You look even on that spreadsheet, it shows you look back 2 years, and there was regionals with less than 200 players in America.
And they made fun of Europe. And they were like 50 people more than us at the time. Now they are like, there's a big separation.
Triple our size. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. We got to get over there, boys.
1 year.
Have indeed.
Abroad.
1 year. I'll go for it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. It's interesting though. It's interesting to see how the game is at the moment. It's just on an upscale. I know, obviously, the amount of financial rewards available in the game now with prize money, sponsorship, teams, things like that. It's obviously an appealing factor, but do you think it's to do with the format has an influence on it?
I think
and how the format has shifted?
But I think I think in a similar way to new players turning up and chancing their luck just because of the prize, I think returning players come back just because returning players who were good at the time, they're like, oh, it's close enough for me to just try my luck and get caught up by some of my friends who are still in the game. Yeah. So I think it's recovering players as much as it is getting new ones into the game.
I think the fact that Worlds is debatably quite easy to get to this year. Plus the fact that they've improved the prize money so much as well. Provided they keep a somewhat similar structure next year, I think that the game will only grow. And I think even if they didn't, the game would still grow. But this year, I think the growth has definitely been sort of boosted, which is really, really good. I love seeing this game grow, so it's really, really good.
And that's actually, like, I know a lot of people discredit the points this season and say it's too easy and whatever, but that's definitely a factor that they may be just trying to inflate the player base.
I would love to have bigger tournaments and have a bigger world because it's easier to get to. Because like this year, London was 700 players, and it was easily the best tournament I've ever played in. It was insane. It was so crazy. And Joe, the amount of times you've told me that NAIC was just a different level of insane. Mm-hmm. Seeing tournaments that big, I'd rather have take the loss at people being mad at not having more elitist worlds, but having bigger tournaments, because I think bigger tournaments only sort of are improvements for the game in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, one thing which I think is quite a big factor, which a lot of people overlook, and it's something I was speaking to Scott about in the store yesterday. There's been a lot of complaints and difficulties over years of accessibility of certain playable cards.
Right.
And over the last, I was just looking in the store, looking around, and you can see all over all the walls all these different products that you can get promo versions of very playable cards. See, those Zoroarks, Glissopods, all these things are now in specific sealed product, and they're making more cards more accessible to people who want to play them. I think no Lele promo is obviously an issue because that's where the big financial burden is. But they're printing more playable promos in tins, which is not, and sort of boxes, which is not something they've done. Like having Zoroark in a promo is insane.
Zoroark in the box was a huge turning point, I think.
I mean, I think Pokemon's already one of the cheapest games. To just go build a deck, get playing. So I think they've already got that pretty much covered. But I think it's definitely cream on top, especially when this game, much more than other TCGs, they're targeting children and seniors. It has to be the cheapest game out there, really, just to get people in at grassroots level, especially children. I think it's always been their mantra pretty much, but they're definitely like pushing it more, which is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
When you talk about the numbers, it was interesting. We were discussing the other week how we all remember going to 30, 40 man regionals.
Oh yes.
None of us have even played that long.
Our regionals used to. The biggest regionals I think we had over here was like 65 people.
Yeah.
That's now a big league cup.
I remember when we broke 100 in the UK for the first time. It was sort of like, whoa,
holy moly,
this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is nearly as big as nationals. What?
Right. So looking at just going back to the sort of summary once we add it all together. What do we think? So we've already said that expect more Volk and don't write off these sort of Garwood variants that are playing more disruption tools.
Yeah, the biggest trend I can see, I think, is Garb could have the abilities to make a bit of a comeback here. So, feels a lot of people have kind of put it on the back burner, and Volk also seems to be quite a good call. So yeah, I think I would expect more Volk and definitely more Garb, probably less Trashalanche because things like Zoroark can still get around Trashalanche anyway. But I think
just ability lock.
For sure, ability lock is still really strong right now.
And has Zoroark solidified itself as the best deck in the format, just with Zoroark X card based on the expected meta?
Yeah.
Zoroark meta call.
Yeah, I think it has to be at the moment. I mean, it's just
drawing cards, man.
Diving draw's good. Diving draw is really good.
Diving draw on a Pokemon that has a solid attack for a single attachment with DC in the format is just crazy.
And Vika Bulu, as good as Gardevoir, confirmed. So
that's where we'll move on, I guess.
That's the only conclusion I can draw from this weekend.
I would say don't write that off either. I think that could see more and more play. Just looking at this top cut as well. I think it was built right.
Better than Gardevoir, confirmed?
I don't know about that.
Luke,
but
settle down
Luke
now.
the Clown Kirkham over here.
He said it. He said it wasn't me.
It's interesting. Xerneas could be in a nice place.
Xerneas. More Zoro, better. Xerneas, the Church of Bulu. Sylveon and Warp at the moment can beat the top 3 decks. Only half a kappa. Xander was 37th at Memphis. Oh man, that's like the untold story. That's one of those things that you never really get when you've not been to the event itself. People who actually attend the event, they see these sorts of things, that the close but no cigar type stories that sort of go underappreciated when obviously it's not on our stats and it won't be on a lot of other people's stats just because, close but no cigar.
But yeah.
Wishful Baton Xerneas, PogChamp. Could Xerneas Garb work? Bloody could.
Wow.
Let's go.
I did build that Saturday.
Did you?
Consider playing it on the Sunday
Excellent.
because I thought, looking at the amount of ability focused decks that were there on the Saturday, I thought, let's try Garb
Yeah.
in something, and it wasn't actually awful because obviously you don't need to play float stones, you just play four max EXP shares and fairy garden, so you can
What did you
move
play?
Around.
Luke?
I just played
You play the same as Saturday? Or...
no Zorowat and things.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
Box.
I knew you were going to play Buzz Saturday, but
Just played Zorowat box, shall we say?
Fairs. We've established that it's probably quite good, so
Yeah, it's not too shabby.
Nice. So that's good to know for future testing. I think for me, the things that are on my radar, obviously Zonies, yes. Yes.
Oh yes.
I actually want
baby.
I want to try Volk sushi because to me it feels like Buzzwell sushi. Because although it's always called Buzzwell Lycanroc, but the artillery is a huge factor in its success because it gives it the gas to finish off the game. And
yeah.
Volk is similar to Buzzwell in that it's a one-hit KO big boy, you know, and that's pretty much what Buzzwell tries to do.
Yeah.
That's something I want to look into more. I think Decidueye was super underperformed a lot for me. That's interesting.
Will the US team have done? You know how in Europe you do like a meta report of everything that's played.
I don't know if they did. I doubt they would
they'll
have.
have done that. That would have been insane. But obviously it's a 1,000 player tournament, so I could see
a
them.
lot of data to collect.
I mean,
I could see them not doing it.
Our backstage statistician is normally done within like 2 or 3 hours. It's just, can they get anyone to be bothered to do it?
Yeah, because it's what three times the size. So
our stats guru does tireless work, and it is excellent.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if the US have an equivalent to Lydia.
I was just thinking it would be useful to know, like at total percentage of decks played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To see whether
it would be definitely interesting because then you can do the real conversion rates.
That's what I find best when you can do
conversion
rates.
Conversion rates are really interesting.
Because I would imagine that Guardi was still heavily played.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that Zoropod was heavily played as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting stuff, isn't it? At the moment.
Tiramisu Lover saying that when you don't get artillery out, you lose 90% of the time. Yeah, that's pretty much the story of these aggro decks. Buzzwell, Lycanroc, and Volk are very similar in that they can race ahead, and if you don't have the support to follow it up, you will lose.
Yeah.
The US doesn't do percentage of decks. Like,
yeah, I never
being
thought
at the event
previously.
From being at the event, both fighting variants were super heavy. Guardi was a lot smaller in terms of play. Hit 2 Guardian, that was most and more people. Maybe a lot of the Desis are a hyper push people off of Guardi then.
Yeah, that could be the case.
Because I personally have always felt like in a field of Desis I wouldn't want to be playing Guardi, and I'll play Guardi in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So I could see a lot of people perhaps then leaning towards stage 1 decks or an alternative pick.
Listening to Seagrove's little like pre-Memphis chat when he pretty much gathered a lot of top players to run down their top 5. Guardi was always like the first one that everyone said, which is interesting that not everyone like went for it in the end. Everyone seemed to go for their other picks just because they're safer, I guess. Because like you're saying, running into Desi Zoro, even like Zoropod is like 50-50, and I personally edge it to Zoropod just because it will always set up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know. But Guardi will still be around just because it only cut 3 times, and also at this point, less people give a damn about Guardi, so there's not those annoying metal decks running around anymore. There's not going to be like your counter deck to Guardi because people are looking more towards these sorts of decks up here to counter. People are throwing in their Mewtwo techs and stuff like that rather than their Guardi techs.
It's very, very strange because obviously Guardi up until this weekend was still one of probably the most played deck across different tournaments over the last couple of months. But ever since London, any Silver Valley and metal type decks just literally disappeared. It's like they were banned overnight. I don't think I've seen him at any events. It just disappeared.
Yeah.
I find that very strange because it did fairly well at London. It has some good showings.
Yeah.
A lot of American players I think came over and bought metal variant decks, and then it's just literally disappeared off the radar.
Well, I think seeing how many flops there were from Americans in London was a contributing factor.
Yeah.
I think pretty much every good American who didn't do well would have seriously discredited the deck because, you know, it did so poorly for all of them, except for Krekler, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of Sylvali lists that made it and were fairly in and around. I know there was a mixture of lists, some with Zoroark, some with just elixirs and stuff, but feels like it, you know, no one cared about it this tournament. It seems like it's the counter deck, and I guess it just wasn't the right. It wasn't the two deck. Like, you're not countering the decks as much anymore.
Yeah.
There's less of them about, so the counter deck becomes less good inherently. But again, I can't really call it a sleeper. I just feel like probably too much fighting for it to be viable right now, even with Silent Memory.
Could potentially be it.
Probably for me, at least. Do we want to quickly touch upon a couple of things? Obviously, my Facebook blew up today.
Yeah, I think we probably should.
Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room.
You guys ready to... Okay, let's make an
Which one? Which one first?
Get controversial.
Let's do it, boys.
Get ready.
I think, yeah. So we've got the long issue to deal with, and we've got the team staging issue to deal with. It's not an issue, okay? Okay, I want to start with the team staging one, I think. If no one has any preference.
No. Do you want to... Someone just want to give a rundown of what actually that was?
Yeah, so essentially at Memphis Regionals, in America, you can pay a VIP fee and you get to, like, your day is slightly different. You get to know where you're all seated. You get various different bonuses. And in general, in Europe, we've got teams like Limitless, Complexity, things like that. In America, there's also other teams, people like CCG Castle, NGL, ARG, all of these other teams. And these teams were able to pay a fee to have an area sort of set out for themselves where all of their team members will play. They played in a little tournament. Was it on the Friday? I think it was on the Friday, right?
Yeah, the Friday.
Yeah.
They played in a little tournament to try and compete for who was the best team. And yeah, so this sort of area where your team was all seated, all of your team was there. They're apparently giving away free swag, signing playmats, all of this kind of stuff. And me and Joe were talking about this morning, about this team staging thing, with the intention of having a lovely conversation with the people of Facebook about sort of what it entailed, because we don't have anything like this in Europe at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is one thing that is, from the outset, is really important to note. This is a completely alien concept for us in Europe.
VIP seating in general. Yeah,
which is why me and Joe, I brought it up with Joe because I was really interested into what it sort of entailed. I think there is one tournament that has been advertised to us and no one took up on it because it was about 30 quid more and no one cared enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to Joe about it. We then ended up speaking about it in a bigger group chat with a couple more UK players.
Mm-hmm.
At which point Joe decided to obviously
make a
post on the Hey Fonte asking if this was true. And I feel a lot of people really got the wrong end of the stick as to what we were, or what Joe was going for with this.
I mean, obviously at this point it's just become a meme chat. Like, it's just devolved into debating and trolling and all sorts. But I was genuinely curious about this because when I first heard about it, I was immediately skeptical and could see how it could be manipulated in a way. I'm not accusing anyone, and I know that, you know, a lot of the top players personally, and know that they have no intention like that. I'm not saying that any of them got in a room together, rubbing their hands together, saying, let's make this VIP area so that we can have an advantage over people. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying that from the outset, from my first impression, I was concerned that it could be seen as having an advantage over other players. That was my first impression. So I wanted to get more info on what it actually was and how it was all carried out and stuff.
People of Facebook didn't see it that way.
No,
they did not.
No, it turned into a absolute chaotic fest of anti-top player, anti-elitist, anti-this, anti-that.
And I think a lot of what you were trying to say, and a lot of what a lot of people were trying to say, really got lost in translation. Because if you scroll through that post, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
There is so much. From Joe actively put, "This is not a witch hunt," and there is so much witch hunting in here. It's insane, especially when this post was made to find out more information because of how alien a concept it is to Europeans. Whether you find it intimidating or not, whether you agree with it or not, we just wanted more information to see what this kind of setup was, because at regionals over here, everyone's in one big pool unless you're on stream.
Yeah.
Other than that, everyone is in the exact same, whether you're sponsored, whether you're not, whether you're junior seniors or not. The only tournament it's ever really been split up was Bremen regionals, where the juniors and seniors were on a different floor to us.
Yeah.
And that's just because of the way the venue was. That wasn't an active decision to split them up. It was just the way the venue was. There was multiple floors,
And we'll
so they
never
decided
be in
to have
that venue again.
and it was never
sure.
daring. But there was a lot of it was, someone just said it was a fest of angery.
Yeah,
And
it really was.
That really wasn't, I don't think, the intention of the post at all. It was to gather information, to have a discussion about it. I think in the end, a lot of people have agreed with it and said there is no issue.
Well, one of my actual intentions when I was asking the question is, obviously I'm a sponsored player myself and wanted to see if it was a viable thing to look into, especially because unlike in the US where some players were able to get their stuff shown on stream, as sponsored players in Europe, as of right now at least, you can't go on stream with your shirts. You're going to get censored pretty much by Pokemon. That's just how it is right now. I've tried to inquire about it and stuff like that, but they seem to be non-movers on that right now, where they're sat at the moment. And it's really bad for people, wanting to...
It's bad for
people don't want to sponsor you because what are they getting out of it if they're not being shown on stream and they can't be in this certain area? So it looked like a new avenue to make it more appealing for sponsors. And if
it limits what you can get in terms of sponsors, doesn't it?
Yeah. And,
massively.
And ultimately, more sponsorship does help the game because it helps more of the best players or the most notable players or the ones that people keep an eye out for. It keeps them at tournaments, basically, over and over again. And it also gives more people something to strive for, to be sponsored themselves. So it's not just an elitist club where you're helping top players so that they can earn more CP and become untouchable to everyone else. It's not only about that. It's also about giving someone a goal in mind for the future. If you're a medium level player and you've been to a few events, you've seen this table of top level players. They're in, week out, and you always see them in the top cut and stuff. It gives you something to shoot for, really, yourself as well. So I think it's not only good for the top players, I think it's also good for medium level players. And just being appealing to other sponsors is going to bring more sponsorship along, and it's pushing the game into an esport, which I think is the direction I personally want to see it go into.
Yeah,
definitely.
So it seemed like a really good idea. Obviously, they had to pay for the privilege to do this. It's not like they were handed it on a silver platter just because you are the good players. Here you go. It was a pricey.
It was really expensive.
It was $1,500, I believe.
People. Yeah, I think it was.
Which is a huge amount of money,
or something. From what I was hearing, for like 10-person teams or whatever. But yeah, I think it's definitely overall the way I've seen it done. Like a lot of the concerns that were raised were speculatory, but from photo evidence and from discussion and from like eyewitness testimony, I guess you could call it, from players on both sides, the players who were sponsored and were part of this area and players who were going up against sponsored players, it seemed overall very, very positive. There was enough space for everyone to be separate, and they were constantly monitored by judges, just like anyone else would be. And also, I think in a tournament as well, when you're actually in tournaments yourself, having a sort of dedicated zone for spectators is really cool. And although most people gravitate towards top tables, having this new staging area that you can gravitate to when you want to see the action of people who you recognize,
people you know,
top names,
yeah.
I think it's really good for people who got dunked after 10 minutes and want to do something. You know? I know I've been sat there twiddling my thumbs for 45 minutes after winning or losing a very fast series or whatever.
Yeah.
Because people who are outside of the venue, not there, they have the stream to keep themselves entertained. But when you're in the venue, although you can look at the screen sometimes, having more to do in the tournament is really cool, and having that sort of area seems really cool for spectators, and I think that's really cool. It makes it more appealing just to be at the event already, just because you have this sort of dedicated place to go to. Stage takes up space from the rest of the field in smaller venues. I think you have to be selective with venues. Like, obviously, it will only be for places that offer this VIP service, right?
Yeah.
It's only going to be on a case-by-case basis. I don't think it's something that we'll see in every tournament going forward, because this was a huge success, which I think overall it was, despite this sort of like toxic post that it turned into. I think it overall was a big success. And I think whenever possible, people will try and do it again. But I don't think it'll be every tournament here and there.
And from what you were saying, and the lack of even availability for sponsored T-shirts on stream, I don't know if it will come to Europe anytime soon, which is a shame.
Well, it's separate to, like, it would be the organisers arranging that, as opposed, like, the stream thing is completely separate to this, right? So even though in Europe you guys don't get to go on stream with your shirts, I don't think that necessarily means it wouldn't come to Europe, because if there was a lot more to do with the venue and the organiser as opposed to Pokemon themselves.
So what I was trying to get my head around this morning, speaking on this, obviously in Europe, we have one central company that does most of our regionals.
Yeah.
Whereas in America, it still seems to be sort of individual
TOs, yeah.
Yeah, that do it. And that seems, do you think that has an influence?
Definitely.
Because obviously they're a paid company to run these events.
I think in Europe they'll have stricter guidelines than individual TOs.
Yeah. I think the second tournament centre do it, it will be expected. And given that they run this year, they're running less, but they're running 3 or 4 of our regionals this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think people would start expecting it, which isn't what they want.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, you can, if it's an individual TO, you can expect that at every Memphis regionals there'll be this VIP player base, because they know they're only going to have to do it once a year. Whereas Tournament Centre, like I say, are running 3 or 4, maybe even more. I can't remember exactly how many of our regionals they're running this year, but if it happens at one, people are going to start expecting, oh, it happened at X regional, why isn't it happening then? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So whilst I understand that it probably won't come, I do think there will be a point in the next few years that we could see something like this and it becoming more of the norm.
But I think it is important for Pokemon to start recognizing that sponsorship is going to be a thing that they need to. They can't just leave it to its own devices.
Look at how many people. Like, look at the top 8 and how many people were sponsored.
Yeah.
Like, the same people. It's not necessarily. I mean, we've just said that the same people are cutting a lot of tournaments, but the same teams are cutting a lot of tournaments. So there has to be a point. I mean, Mark alone this year, they have to note that Mark alone and Tord, people that are sponsored, are doing insanely well. They can't ignore this issue for that much longer, I don't think.
No, I agree. And the thing... Sorry, carry on.
I don't think it's about how well they do, though. Is that's not really
No,
that
I don't.
important a
I'm not saying it's because they're doing well. I'm saying the fact that if they want to carry on having streams and showing the top players,
you want to support these players.
You want to support players, and you want to.
Because storylines is always something as a stream. Even you want to be showing off. You want to see how good everyone's favorite Reclev is doing on day one.
Yeah.
And then see him all the way to the final. You know.
Yeah.
So... And what worries me about the way it looks and going is, in terms of teams and sponsorship, Europe is being left behind to America.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And the gap is going to get worse. So
there's a big disparity there.
Yeah, and that worries me as a sponsored player as well. And,
I think it's also down
fan for Pokemon.
It's simply down to how many tournaments we have, though. I think there's a lot of factors. There's the amount of tournaments, there's the amount of players. Like, we're never going to see an 1,000-person tournament. Well, we're not never, but it's going to be a long time till we see an 1,000-person tournament that's just a regionals. But it's also, I think, a lot of the good European players have already been sponsored. So I think the player base in general it's getting harder and harder to build a new team. So whether that means people like CCG and Limitless, there is just 2 teams and they just get bigger. But I think it's very difficult for a new team to approach the scene right now. Maybe. I mean, take me and Luke, for example. We set up our own one fairly easily.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard for teams to start becoming a thing. It's just
true.
It's just making it appealing for sponsors. I mean, getting people to say yes to you is what's hard.
Yeah.
You know? And Pokemon need to maybe make that easier. So people can realistically go to 10 tournaments a year rather than only have the funds to do 2 a year, you know?
Yeah. Something needs to change, I think.
It brings in more people into the game because you get higher profile players, you get sort of the superstars, so to speak, sort of these teams, and the teams are bringing in big sponsors, so the big sponsors will give it more global recognition, and it snowballs into creating the game bigger.
And I know we're not talking about Michael Long yet, and I know it's a bad example, but when you look at his cheating thing, so many people were so openly upset because he was a role model at the time for people.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, people do become role models in Pokemon. People will look at Tord now and they'll want to see how he's doing every time there's a new tournament. So creating these storylines is important for even growing the game for newer players. So I think it's really important. And this is a good way, a sort of non-intrusive way, I think, or as non-intrusive as possible, as long as they maintain it in a similar way to how it was done in Memphis.
I feel like they're going to struggle to ignore this sponsorship thing whilst still wanting to push it as an esport.
Yeah.
You need to acknowledge one if you want the other.
Yeah. I think as well, from judging how Pokemon go about things and playing the game 4 or 5 years, I think this season will probably stay relatively same. And perhaps next season they will address this and there will be changes from the start of next season.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I said I think they're too... I don't want to say stuck in their ways, but I think they've set a precedent this year. They've set a precedent this year, and they don't want to change it, and that's fair enough because, I know it's something completely different, but changing the Worlds invite last year was such a controversial issue. They don't want to change how the season is structured, how things are. So I can see it until Worlds being the exact same, but I can see there being some sort of acknowledgement as of September. Whether it's useful, whether it's completely the wrong end of the stick, we don't know, but I think they have to eventually address this. I don't want to call it an issue, but I guess it is an issue. They have to address this before it gets to the point where even sponsored players like yourselves are like, well, there's no point. What's the point in being sponsored here?
Yeah. I mean,
sponsors are like, what's the point in sponsoring people here? To the point where there's going to be no sponsors, and at that point people are going to divert to different games that do support sponsors or are just not going to play at all.
Right now, there's 3-4 people who call themselves full-time players or don't have a day job, and that's largely down to sponsors, and they will all tell you that. And it's the case with Magic the Gathering and other card games that people have made a profession out of it. Hearthstone, definitely.
Hearthstone is the biggest one in my mind.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
And they are basically content creators or just full-time tournament players. And if you are going to be an esport, you need to support the player base, and oftentimes sponsorship is the way that you can support the player base as best as possible.
Definitely. It's something that I think it gets to the point where it can't be ignored by Pokemon. That they have to make a stand on it, and if they want the game to grow, they have to not necessarily support it, but accept it and allow it to be more accepted from themselves.
I think Pokemon, more than most, they're super worried about branding.
Yeah,
they are a very branding conscious company because, again, it goes back to children being involved, and they don't want to associate themselves with things that they don't have as much control over, whereas other games even have age ratings, and that's something that Pokemon has to be super, super careful about, and I can see why there's resistance from them and hesitance, and they're already like one of the most cautious companies I know, and it's all down to branding a lot of the time because it means so much to them.
And you've also got to consider as well, on the other side of the coin for this is Pokemon itself, although majority of players are masters, Pokemon, the video games, the card games, and that, if you look at their marketing, their advertising, the way they want to push it, it's aimed at the younger audience. It's aimed at the seniors and juniors. And obviously there's legal things involved with people of a certain age being sponsored or not being able to be sponsored. And that obviously will have an impact because this game, more than any other card games out there, is aimed at the younger generation. So that's something else which I think is holding it back in terms of accepting sponsorship on a whole.
It's unfortunate from where we're sitting, but it's something you have to take on board when you play Pokemon. It's just, we are a unique TCG in that respect.
And also, Pokemon are a slow company of getting things done and announcements and doing that. They're not the sort of company that will make a decision and day A and then get it out to everyone day B. It's from what I understand from people like yourself who've streamed, people who've worked for them, there is a long process. Everything has to be run by 3 or 4 different levels. And so even if they were thinking of plans of not encouraging this, but accepting this into it, I think it would be a long time before we saw that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's the case. But what's good is this has been raised to them. It's already been flagged just by t-shirts being on stream. That wasn't the case for many American tournaments, and now it is more so the case. So obviously
it's a slow
campaigning for it.
Slow grind, but
I mean, everyone who's watching, everyone who's watching here in the stream and ourselves as 3, how much would you love to be able to play Pokemon full time?
Oh my god,
it would be crazy, wouldn't it? It'd be
I would walk into
a dream.
my office tomorrow and just slap my dad in the face.
And his dad doesn't even work there.
And then I slap my boss in the face. Yeah. One of these days. Subscribe to our channel.
Wow.
Okay. So, really quick mention on Michael. Obviously, probably one of the highest profile people to be disqualified in a long time, I would say. Especially one of the highest earning players that we've seen get a disqualification. There's been a couple of posts about it. I think we're all in the camp of wanting a lifetime ban for this kid.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Are we all thinking that?
Yeah. I think then this is probably since I've been playing the most high-profile, controversial thing in any way, shape, or form since I've been playing, and they need to set an example because you obviously had that thing in Australia as well, something similar happening. A guy I've heard has been doing this for years. They need to get rid of this. With the money involved now, they need to make sure there's a deterrent to people doing this.
Yeah, because if it is so high profile that if he gets a year ban, it just looks so bad. It looks even if in other cases, if little Jimmy at his League Cup sat on a Greninja,
oh no, not Jimmy,
and did
that video killed me, Joe.
Maybe little Jimmy would get 3 months or a year or whatever it is after getting DQ'd, because it is Michael Long, who has been on streams, who has been winning this amount of money, who is coming from the seniors division into the masters division. He's been a poster boy for so many people. Unfortunately, he's put himself in this glorified situation, and he has cheated, so it's not unfortunate. It's his own stupid decision for being an absolute muggins. He's made himself open to really be the precedent setter here.
Yeah.
And that's what has to be done. And I think it should be the harshest penalty possible, because it's so public now that
I think
cheating is just not on.
I think he deserves a lifetime ban. I'm worried he won't get one.
And additionally, the thing is, for him specifically, this isn't like a first-time offence. Like, he's had numerous prize penalties and numerous warnings over the last few tournaments. I know, warnings anyone can get, right? No one's saying that you're an absolute cheater if you've received a warning in a tournament. That's not what I'm saying. But, I mean, he's got a long list of
it's been talked about for the past at least 6 months, like, heavily.
Yeah. I mean, we've memed on this channel for so long that no one can tell like Michael Long does. And that's because there has been this sketchy speculation. There's been witch hunt style videos on YouTube about him, about how he shuffles and times when he played X card or whatever. And it really is just not on at all. And the same for this Australian bloke. I mean, I've not seen the footage or whatever, if there is any or whatever. But by the sounds of what I'm hearing from Luke, who has connections in Australia, he seems to again be a serial offender. And what really upsets me is that it's really taking the good nature of this game for granted, and it's really just sort of abusing the system, because everyone loves to say how amazing the community is for Pokemon, and in many ways it's naive how amazing the community is, because there are people who can slip through the net for 2 years, like Michael has, pretty much, in my opinion. I would be amazed if this is the first time he has actually knowingly cheated, I would be absolutely flabbergasted that this is the first attempt of him cheating and he got caught and he's now disqualified. I honestly think it's probably been going on for years.
There's no smoke without no fire without smoke. Whatever.
Smoke machines.
Definitely no smoke without fire.
What about smoke machines?
And
dry ice, mate. Dry ice.
Anyway,
don't worry, I'm here, Joe. I'm here.
Yeah. Thank God.
It's like it's something that is personal to me as well, and a lot of the UK is similar things with a certain player over the last 2 or 3 years, and it's just constant things that it keeps happening. You know that it's not a coincidence that the same person will pull up on similar things every time. And what was really sad to me is I was looking through Verbank and Hayfonte quite a lot today, just keeping up with all the posts and discussions on obviously the team thing and other stuff. Was the Canadian player, is it Robert Davies?
Yeah, but he's completely trolling.
Yeah, I played him at Wales, spoke to him, spent a bit of time in Wales because he liked to build rogue decks, and we had a couple of similar ideas in the past, so we spoke over that. The fact that him and his son have stopped playing because of how upset that this Michael Long has been cheating, and he's been caught cheating multiple times and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And someone who was a Robert Davies, I think he made Canadian national finals with a rogue deck a couple of years ago.
Right.
Sort of 3 years ago. And the fact that him and his son was a very good senior player, won a lot of events, stopped playing because of
stuff like that happening.
That nothing was being done. And even posted a video, a link to a video where it can clearly see Michael, he stacks his deck, keeps the top card and puts the bottom card to second place, knowing that his opponent doesn't cut regularly and things. And it's just a bit of a shame. We need to stop this before. We don't want people to think it's accepted.
Yeah. Barry Gambler's just followed. Thanks so much, by the way.
Sweet. It's like you said, Joe. He's become a role model.
Yeah.
And they need to show that this isn't acceptable.
And now he is the poster boy for cheating. and he has to be dealt with as severely as possible, which is a lifetime ban for me. And there's plenty of a lot of people saying that he's been doing all sorts of shady stuff for a while, and yeah, it's just good riddance, really. Don't need that anywhere. Apparently he's also done it in previous card games as well, so he's just a serial cheat abusing the system, and he can jog on to a different card game and do the same thing and be an absolute waster forever and never have any friends and hate himself. So good for him. Well done, mate. Well done.
Yep. The thing that was also quite sad to see is, I don't know if you saw on PTCG Hal, someone posted a Snapchat conversation between Michael and another person, and Michael was still not coming out and holding his hands up and saying, I've messed up, I've done wrong. He was adamant, he was just in denial, basically saying, I didn't even cheat, I did nothing, this, that and the other. And you've been caught, you've been accused, and you've been caught multiple times. It gets to a point where if you want to have any sort of dignity, you hold your hands up and accept it and say, look, I've did this, I'm wrong, I'll take my punishment.
But for me, like, if you want... the amount of money that he's essentially fraudulently earned, it's actually like a prison sentence in any other situation. So, like, it's actually terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
we're talking sort of $40,000 upwards, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, I have no time for him whatsoever. Don't care what he says at this point. His actions have got him this far. It doesn't matter what he says.
Has spoken louder than his words.
No apology. No, like, long cry emoji Facebook post is going to save him from everything that comes to him, and he should never really be able to play again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I was just going to say, it'll be interesting to actually see, because to me, this is clear cut. There is exactly what to do, but they often take a long time to deal with bans and things like that. It'll be interesting to see how quickly they pull the trigger on this one.
Yeah. I think they have to be quick on the draw for this because it is so important.
And obviously you've got Australia around the corner. He's obviously was due to be receiving a pay trip and stuff like that. Because I think he's number one in America going into this tournament.
I looked at the stats. He's number one in the world right now.
Yeah,
I just can't get my head around it.
Just the headline of the top player in the world is a cheat. Excellent news.
And what would be interesting is most of my friends now that I spend all of my time with, evenings, week, I live with Tamao, who I met through Pokemon, play Pokemon with, you guys, other people. A lot of my time is spent with Pokemon friends that I've made through the game. And if his friends and friend base is similar nature, what's that going to... Hopefully that will teach him a lesson outside of Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's the only hope I've got, because
you can't put his friends in the same lot as him. I see it as... No,
I'm not saying they're cheating. I'm saying that it's going to affect him in terms of his friend base. And
on a personal level as well.
Yeah,
that's
what I was trying to get to.
Well, it's just the fact that he's willing to cheat. He's willing to jeopardise all that. That just shows how far he's gone in that he's willing to lose all of his friends. He's willing to risk everything.
How little he cares about the game and how much he cares about...
Yeah. Just shows he doesn't care about anything. Psychopathic, almost.
Yeah. You look at some of the shuffling things that the videos are on there. That's not something you learn overnight.
No.
That's something that is practice over a long period.
Someone says ban frogs. They should ban frogs as well as long. Just to please go.
Ban Greninja break. If we ban Greninja break, Michael will never play again anyway. Sammy Sakura made top 64 in Memphis. I did not know that. Was he just on holiday or something? That's pretty nuts.
No, he went with Nitish.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Good to see him back playing again regularly.
That's cool.
And people are saying in the stream chat he has younger siblings, and obviously that's going to be difficult for them, because they will, like it or not, they will be tarnished with a similar brush, and it will it will affect them as they continue to play.
Yeah, I think I met his brother when they came to London. Logan introduced me. So now they've got backlash as well.
Someone saying you need a little machine. I know there was a post by who was it? It was Oliver Barnett, who of course is a Hearthstone player.
Yeah.
Not really an ex-Pokemon player, but he plays mainly Hearthstone now. He was talking about PTCGO tournaments, and obviously it got a bad reception because the way PTCGO is now, it definitely can't handle anything like tournaments, and it would have to change drastically.
Struggles to handle a game.
You know, that's a way to cut out all cheating. Everyone's gonna vomit and say PTCGO hands, but it's random.
I don't think I'd play anymore.
Really? You wouldn't play if it was all PTCGO?
I don't think so. I hate.
But you still
PTCGO.
had to go. If you still had to go to events to play, like not just sit and do tournaments like in your own room, you still get the interaction with people and everything.
Like the fireside gathering type things at events.
Yeah. Maybe more so then. I just like this year especially has been the travel for me. Especially since like first going to Malmo last year or at the start of this year. All I've cared about is the traveling. I haven't cared about doing well. Okay, Worlds is easy to get to this year, and I'm on track for Worlds and that kind of thing. But I just love the traveling part of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as long as that, yeah, sure. If the tournaments were in Leipzig still, sure. But if it just meant sitting at home playing Pokemon instead, I'd definitely just there'd definitely be a lot of changes for me.
Who makes decklist errors anyways? But Robin did bring up the point that it does feel very different. There's a different feel to just having the cards. There's also a big nostalgia element when you're actually playing the TCG.
Yes, definitely.
I think it would probably lose a lot of people from the game. But if you want to cut out cheating, that's something.
It's one way.
I don't think that will happen ever.
VIP PTCGO lounges.
Yeah, I prefer playing in person. I love sitting across the table from your opponent, having a laugh and a joke, and then meeting new people and things like that. And you don't want to take that element of it away. And with kids as well, I think it helps build certain social skills for juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
Especially perhaps people that were having the anxiety issue or anything like that and struggle to speak to people. It makes them more receptive to meeting new people and things, and that's an important element of the game, which I think is underlooked a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I think Robin talking about stricter repercussions for cheating. I think also the workload of judges is quite high right now, I think, overall.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to convince people to judge in tournaments a lot of the time. Oftentimes it's ex-players who don't have enough time to play the game anymore. There are some judges who genuinely prefer judging to playing, but they are overall a minority, and I think at the moment they are understaffed. And
Their work is definitely cut out right now, I think.
That's a big reason why I think cheating does go unchecked currently, if it does happen, in the very, very small minority. I'm not saying that everyone's cheating and you need to always be alert. Yes, be alert, and yes, it is definitely a minority. But unfortunately, a judge's job is to find those needle in haystacks, and at the moment when there's only enough people to wander up and down tables full of 100 people, especially in American tournaments, I can only imagine how hard it is for a judge.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that could be a breaking point for the game to continue to grow?
Yeah, I think it definitely could be. I think it might start to become a marketing expense for them to actually have to pay out for more judges, or make it more appealing economically for judges. They already do a lot. They already help them with travel and reimburse them. But I think trying to encourage more people to judge is definitely something that has to go alongside the amount of player growth they're receiving.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest difficulties with it as well is getting judges up to a standard they need to be at to judge at big events. I mean, you can't pull little Jimmy's mum off the street get to come in and be a judge. There has to be a certain level of understanding of the game, how it's played, things to look out for, and sort of like general knowledge. So you have a very limited pool to pick from in the first place.
I won't
So there perhaps
have
needs to be
you
more
saying
education.
another bad word about Janice. Can you not? Big Janice. Has done more
She's
for this
applied for a
community
professor
than
test.
anyone else.
She just wants the game to be healthy.
God, it misses Jimmy.
Oh dear.
Me.
But yeah, it's something that I think is at the point where if the game continues to grow at this level, I think there obviously will be a plateau. It can't keep going up this much purely for venue sizes as well. It needs to be something that needs to be looked at. But again, I'm sure Pokemon, such a big company, I'm sure they have.
You're not the first to think of this.
Plans, yeah.
Judge workshops, that's interesting. I mean, I've never applied to be a judge, so I don't know how strenuous it is. I imagine it is fairly strenuous, but I think talking to some judges, I think there are grey areas within the rules, which makes it hard to implement as a judge, no matter who you are.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think these sorts of things need to have clearer
guidelines.
I think one thing that helps before in the UK and globally, obviously related to personal experience in the UK, all the big events and leagues were run by a select few, sort of league owners and things like that. Whereas they are encouraging shops, they can do cups now, it's only shops and venues. And so more and more people are having to understand the game to run the tournament. So that's obviously a pool they can pull from if people are willing to do it. Because, for example, the cup at the weekend, I was playing a Zorowat deck and I used Foul Play to copy Trickster GX, to copy to copy Lycanroc's GX attack.
Yeah.
And obviously we had to get a rule in on that because we weren't 100% how it worked. Yeah. And this shop owner, and obviously I've played in the UK a lot, I've never seen or met before, and he knew straight away the ruling on it.
Yeah.
And that was good and impressive. I wasn't 100%. I thought it was, but we weren't 100%, and he knew straight away.
If you weren't allowed, were you done?
No, I was ahead, but
yeah.
It was good to see that someone who, from my knowledge, in terms of, because over the past couple of years, we've all been to most venues and events that, in terms of cups, cities, regionals, someone who is newer to that side of it knew straight away, and that was good to see. And hopefully they make it more accessible for people to be judges and get the understanding they need to be a judge.
Yeah.
Well, I used to judge a while ago mainly for pre-releases because I'm too competitive to judge anything else. And I remember the professor test I had to take. At the time, all the questions, although the rulings were relevant, all the questions were based on cards for 4 or 5 years before. And so having an understanding of things that might come across nowadays, it didn't translate as well.
Yeah. I guess it's more about they're teaching the application of the rules rather than current cards. But I guess it's one of those things. Give a man a fishing rod.
Yeah.
Rather than just telling people what exactly Boswell can do. If you learn everything around that attack,
you
know how to apply it. And cheaters judge. I think a lot of the time cheaters get chased out of the community. They won't want to show their face again.
Nope.
I know if I was Michael, I wouldn't want to show my face again.
No. Such negative response and backlash you'd get would be at a point where you'd not really want to. Oh,
good chat. Good chat, though.
Yeah, definitely.
What have I done?
I'm just looking at your hand.
Yeah, multi-switch is a great card.
You have a good deck. Remember, there's a delay in the stream for me, so I haven't seen what your top deck was. No.
My top deck was no. Yeah.
Is that Lorantis? From Mantis, even.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Multi-switch into Ion Pool. Hello.
This hand, ooh. Feels Pablo, man.
Pablo's the opposite. He couldn't get down Remoraid. The opposite. He had all of his fighting stuff and attackers. He just could not get down Remoraids.
Ripperino.
And artilleries.
Who would you rather be right now?
Do you think as well, the one thing about this Michael Long thing being such high profile and there's so much backlash and talk and chatter, do you think, and I hope it does, will have an effect on seeing how much negativity there was involved? It will put that seed of doubt in people's minds who do cheat.
Well, I hope so. And I think only the ban can reinforce that.
Yeah.
But I think already just the public execution that he's essentially had.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's not banned, he will have no one to talk to for the next X amount of days until he gets banned for cheating again.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't get banned and does come back, people are going to watch him like a fool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it can't, rightly so as well. So it can't ever be.
Okay, so Acerola is really bad for us. I guess it's bad if we attack him or not, right? This opens up Acerola instead of Guzma. Do I Iron Pool? No, I need to keep this around. Okay.
Yeah, it's a chance for Pokemon to make a stance. Is the thing to take, and if they do, then hopefully we'll stop this happening. It's been you hear in different circles of players being banned in the last couple of months, 6 months, a year. I think it all started with Kiernan Wagner.
Yeah.
Was the first one that was sort of noticeable and people got wind of for a long time. And so I think there has been very, very small steps in the right direction to banning people when it is caught on stream, because streams are obviously a part of the game now.
No choice,
Yeah.
man. No!
That was loud. Mm. Mm.
Oh,
You genuinely sound like a cat.
my God.
That is a pretty nutty turn.
With a Guzma. With a Guzma. With a Guzma. Ah.
So loud, Joe. Frogs.
I don't know where that thing's come from, but I do like the.
It's here.
I am great at making hideous noises with my mouth.
It's like the cacaw.
Mm. I'm glad I've got water alongside me.
Yeah, I just realised I now have a drink, and that killed my throat.
GG no re. Man, there's plenty of re in that GG.
Stop now, please.
Okay, I'll stop. For the sake of the stream. For the sake of the viewers, I'll stop. Dearie me.
So, yeah, it's a good chat on a more positive note. Anyone who did go into major events this weekend in the chat and watching, did you have fun? That's what we're all here for at the end of the day.
Oh boy.
Anyone playing I heard talks of as a rogue deck's doing quite well. Not quite making top 35 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But some of the rogue stuff doing well. Did anyone else see any good stuff? Because we all love to see a good rogue deck do well. Me and Joe are definitely susceptible to liking and playing
Yeah, you two love that. Love that stuff.
rogue stuff.
What are you on
Absolute
about?
gubbins.
I'm clear cut, mate. tier 1 through and through.
Yeah, definitely.
Something that I don't know whether it was an issue or not. Obviously, we had the regional back right at the start of the season. It was September, I think, where there was the top 33, and the one guy unfortunately didn't get the top 32 payout. Has that been the same for top 35 this time?
Yeah. There were people who didn't get the payout.
So 3 people didn't get the payout. Okay, I didn't know because I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't know whether it had or it hadn't. Obviously, there's been a lot of other stuff to talk about this week, but I didn't know whether there was any movement on that or. Okay, so 3 people didn't get the payout. Interesting. Is that still an issue that needs to be addressed? Do you think?
Yes, they played 6 more hours
definitely.
of Pokemon.
Yes.
And they had the same record at the start of the day. If they're going to do the top 32 or above, I think they have to throw everything.
If it is
in the
above,
pot,
say,
right?
yeah, say if it's top 32 or above, then it's top 32 prizes for the whole.
Yeah. I think we just do this, and then we attach and play N.
Yeah, I think it's so harsh making day 2 with the same records as everyone else, and then.
Yeah. Oh, there's someone in the chat that came
Out.
between 33rd and 35th. Interesting.
So look. Yeah, I think that the cash payout should read, because as it stands, I think there's only been 2 tournaments ever that's got more than top 32.
Mm-hmm.
It's the X2 record. So they do need to make a clear
I can't see
stance.
Like we've said though about the sponsoring thing. I can't see them changing anything up until September, and I can't see tournaments getting smaller before September. So unfortunately, it probably means for the rest of the season, whilst we're going to see tournaments this big, we're not necessarily going to see support for tournaments this big.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is unfortunate, but I guess we'll see.
I suppose it keeps you playing. I know people that in top 32 want to have lost the first round or 2. They just give up and stop.
Yeah.
Just scoop and sit down, scoop and carry on. It gives you something to play for, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't be nice feeling being the one guy who.
I mean, even
3 guys.
Even top 16 is like pretty achievable after the first 3 rounds, even with like a tie and a loss and stuff. So I think there's always relatively a reason to keep playing. Unless you start off day 2 on 32nd and you go loss.
Yeah.
That's when you start signing the slip and going home, but or not being able to go home, I should say.
So was there 6 rounds of day 2 Swiss for this event? Is that how it works?
I'm not certain. Couldn't tell you.
Interesting question. Do you think we will see enough people for 1,000 players at London next year, or European internets? Obviously, don't know it's going to be London.
I don't think we'll quite get 100, but
100? Hold on.
sorry, I think we'll probably get more than 100.
You're a bold one, Jack.
I'm gonna put money on that one. I don't think we'll quite get enough for 1,000. Then again, I didn't think we hit 750 this year. But I genuinely don't think the European community is big enough to reach 1,000 without another 200 Americans coming over. I think it will hit about 900, but I don't think we'll hit 1,000 yet.
Yeah.
The
thing is, I think we could have easily hit 900 this year had the capacity allowed for it.
Yeah, that is true. I'm not including the people that didn't make it in.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we could get 1,000. That would be so cool. Honestly, it'd be so cool because it looks like I'm not going to be able to go to NAIC this year, which is really upsetting because I want to experience it at least once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. It would be really, really good.
How bonkers is this Guardy gonna go?
This is when you worry being opposite side of the table against Guardy.
Grand Silver is now following. Thank you. Well, that's a second Guardy down. Let's see how many more candies start flapping about.
Oh Lord. Oh my God. There's been one of my favourite types of posts.
What is it?
Someone posting Verbank.
Oh God.
I won't say any more than that.
Oh,
Oh
Tell you after.
come
God.
on. Tell me
I'm now
about
gonna have to go on to Verbank. Come on
As
now.
if we've not fired enough shots
Cringe.
tonight. You may as well just go
Yeah.
for it, mate.
I just find them cringy. Obviously, he's a popular guy and he's a nice guy, but it's
Oh, God.
Pokemon Mentor's videos is sort of where he's out. At the beginning of the video, he's out walking or running in the street.
Mm.
I just don't know. I just find it a bit. Wee.
What? Sorry. Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
I can't quite go that high. My voice.
Quite catch that one,
8,
mate.
12, 16, 20.
I've just looked now as well. 901 comments on that team post.
Yeah, mate.
Mm.
Mental, innit?
Mm. My favourite post of the day has been the Paw Patrol one. I don't know whether you've seen it, Joe. In fact, you won't have because it was only an hour ago. There was obviously some kids show called Paw Patrol, and it's just Pram's face with a Zoroark, a Lycanroc, a Rockruff, and a Zorua.
Excellent.
And it's just got 7 regional wins at the top.
Of course.
It's adorable. And Michael's commented just saying, to be honest, I quite like the name Paw Patrol.
I like that he did his post about what should I call myself. 7 God doesn't sound right. What a beast.
He's earned it. He's definitely earned it.
It's top decker fighting energy. Okay. Okay, so he responds. I was hoping to hit one of my elixirs to respond with a Sudowoodo. Looks like we're going to have to slow roll like a Buzzwole type thing. Hope that he can't stack too much. Hope he can't get a second Guardi out, I guess. We'll see. 2 elixir whiffs is a bit sadness.
So just looking at that post with the year-on-year growth, historically Fort Wayne has always been the biggest tournament of the year, bar sort of 10 people here or there, but as a whole. And it's crazy between this season, where he got 996 according to this, compared to 5 years ago, 220.
That's insane. Say 5 times. Wow.
The growth went from 2012 it was 220, 2013 329, 2014 only to 357, 2015 404, 2016 490, and last year 637. So the biggest jump has been between last year and this year. Obviously, coincidentally, when the prize money and the knowledge of it has come out, I think is obviously the big influence. What was interesting, I don't know if you remember, Joe, you definitely will remember, that tournament after Worlds where you played Sceptile.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one, Joe?
Do you wanna?
I don't think you've ever mentioned that one to me.
There was a.
I'm ending the call.
See you on Wednesday, guys.
There was a couple of players there that were, I believe, Yu-Gi-Oh players historically, and they were basically, a couple of them said that they're getting into the game because of the amount of prize money that's in Pokemon now.
Plain and simple.
There's money to be made.
Yeah.
Any of you boys that make it to Odd Beers are on me. Joe will see you for a beer.
You want? What am I doing?
Fortunately, Luke and I assume, Luke, you're not going. You haven't mentioned it to me.
What am I doing?
As it stands, no, not unless anything changes in the next
going to
months.
Australia.
Yeah. Do you know about
I don't
Leipzig.
drink, Jack.
Oh yeah. Do you know about Leipzig yet, Joe?
What do you mean? Do I know about it?
Are you definitely going?
I've booked my flights. I've
Oh.
paid Pavey.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm talking about. I meant to say Malmo.
Oh, have you booked anything yet? Have we looked at places yet?
No.
I'll
No
go.
one's done anything yet.
I mean, I have holiday to burn. This is my plan.
Okay.
My plan is to burn all my holiday, and in about 8 months, I'll leave.
Sweet.
Man.
Let's do that then.
Hopefully, no one's watching from work.
Hi, Dad.
8 months early. Well, I know I'm almost certain Tamal's not going, right?
Yeah, he's not going. Malmo.
Well, I messaged Alex yesterday asking what he was doing, and he's only booked flights.
Okay. I
He said
literally need to Airbnb because I'll have no money.
Very good.
I need to be
he's
literally in a bin.
I think he's up for sharing. He just he doesn't want to chase people and stuff, but he said he's up for sharing if people want to share. So if I just didn't know who was going and whatnot. Are you going, Luke?
I'll go. Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Has anyone actually seen Darwin in a long time?
I haven't seen him since London. London, maybe.
London.
Yeah, London.
Steph London.
But yeah, and the first time I'd spoken to him since London was yesterday, other than on the CCG chat, not the CCG chat, the custard cream chat. I think he mentioned something the other day. He just pops up, says something, and then disappears for days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, there's some interesting things on Facebook. Some guys tried to run a car on Coca-Cola. Obviously ended very well.
So we want to take a single prize and then deal with Lele. We need to keep the Buzzwell around in order to do that. So we need to somehow get into Sudowoodo this turn and go for a attack. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20. If we hit a strong energy, we can carry the Guardi with a watch and learn. Or if we hit do I want to end first? I think I want to end first to thin more cards pre-artillery. I don't want to play the Lycanroc just to play it down. Okay, we did draw one insta-play card, but we are putting in invalid targets. One more draw is still better. Okay, let's do it. Let's increase our Lycanroc odds, I guess.
That captain wants the Sceptile story.
No, he doesn't.
That's a lie.
He doesn't know what he wants. Oh, Beetlemon. Do we need to stall this man to win the game?
Doodah. Where's the schedule of all the European regionals? I don't know where there is one. On the Pokemon website, it's probably one. But we've got Leipzig, Malmo, Stuttgart, and Sheffield left. Yeah, I definitely want to go Malmo because I realised I've bought my ticket for it already. Like the entry ticket for it.
You can buy them from Malmo?
Oh, well, I won the free ticket thing.
Oh, I need to buy my Leipzig ticket. I still haven't done that. Whoops.
I don't think you have...
You need to buy the ticket for DreamHack, don't you?
Yeah, you need to buy a ticket for DreamHack. Well, there's a specific
I've registered,
Pokemon
I haven't bought a ticket.
There's a specific Pokemon ticket you can buy.
Have you done that, Jack?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I need to do that. I hope I've not done a Kirkham. Sorry, Kirkham.
That's alright. Used to it by now.
It's public knowledge at this point.
Yeah.
You definitely want the Sceptile story. Okay, cast your minds back, team.
The
year is 2016. And
What's just happened at the World Championships?
At Worlds, there's been a cheeky deck called Mega Ordino. There's just one. Second place was Greninja Break. The very next week, there's is it a League Cup? What was it called back then? Cities?
It was just a league challenge, right?
It was a league challenge. Was it just a challenge? No, it couldn't have been a challenge. There was box support.
Oh, it's probably a Cities then.
Was it Cities, Luke?
No, it was a winner box tournament. It was one of those does third-party tournaments.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I can't think what they're called.
the Brotherhood. It was a Brotherhood Open.
Yes,
or whatever.
that's the one.
Yeah.
And I rock up with Mega Sceptile because, as I've just told you, Greninja's just come first, and Ordino has come. No, sorry, Ordino came first. Greninja came second.
Easy.
So I thought, no brainer. This is the deck to play. Round 1, I come up against a Night March deck that played triple Muscle Band, which was really important. But also it played double Headringer, and obviously playing
And
Mega
Joe,
Sceptile. This is terrible.
Why did he play double head ringer?
Because he had the space, mate. Because he had the space.
God.
When
as
Joe
you
asked
do.
him how he played, I sat next to him, and he was like, "Just because there's space."
And turn 1, game 1, I go, okay, attach to my Sceptile in the active. No, on the bench, sorry. On the bench, Spirit Link, pass it over. He goes, cool. Does all of his turn 1 Night March compressors, gets to 180 damage, then goes Tool Scrapper, double Headringer, knockout. What do you do? How do I win? How do I win? Well, the answer
Wasn't it best of one as well?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Round 2, I'm up against the Volcanion deck. So that went quite well as well. Went, as you might expect, quite well.
Double head ring.
Double Headringer. Watch and learn, boys. Pluck one of those Buzzwolls out there. Cheeky.
Did you need to? I mean, I guess I'm going to see it in a sec. But did you need to strong for this? Oh no, you didn't. There you go.
Oh, he had another 30 on.
No,
Thirty-
got him to 60 last turn.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, round 2, I'm up against the Volk. I lose. Shocking.
Whoops.
Round 3, I face a Vespi Vial? Yeah, it was Vespi Vial. They go first and win. They also played God, what was the walling Pokemon that they played? No, it wasn't even Vespi Vial, it was Vileplume Toolbox, and they set up Glaceon against me, lol. And I think they even Ninja Boyed into a Jolteon when I was doing the other stuff. Yeah, it was fun. And then I end up being bottom table against a junior who's playing Volk. And I work as hard as possible to scrape a tie against a junior. And it is honestly the most satisfying tie I've ever had in my life.
Oh.
I could not have shook his hand quicker, I'll be honest. It was incredible. I was chuffed. But yeah, that's my story. Don't over metagame, idiots. So this is the
that is
worst thing.
genuinely the most upset I've ever seen Joe.
The worst thing is, right? Okay, everyone in top 8 got a booster box. Everyone in top 8 got a booster box, and bear in mind, only about like 25 people were in this event. And
Money.
we were in the car to Telford, and on the way back, every other person in the car but me had a booster box to show for their day. And I was like, my deck beat every other deck in the car. Like, I was like, I have metagamed this perfectly. I can't lose. Everyone else was playing Aqua Box. Luke was playing like Sizzle. can do anything against Sceptile. Like, I had this down to the ground. No, just faced the casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Volk players, didn't I? See you later.
Yeah, you did.
What a dream. 0-4-1. Yeah, boy. You know it. Huh. Watch and learn. Do I steal the coin flips that he used? I don't even know. Let's go for this one.
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, that's really bad. 12, 15. Where do I even attach? I don't have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do have enough energy to go for a Buzzwole KO. No, I can't KO. Okay, we do this. Do we get the coin flips in? I'm not even sure if we can get coin flips in. I guess we do, because he announced an attack. Okay. Did I face little Jimmy? May as well have. Oh, he's playing around the wild kick. Is the wild kick 50-50 the way I win this game, boys? Let's read on. Oh, he gives with Rockruff. That can't be right. You can kill yourself. Oh man, he's gonna beacon. Now he's given me a 50-50 to win.
So that sounds like an opportunity.
Wild kick, boys. Corner deck out at this point. How many Gizmos has he played? 3. Played 3 Gizmos. Is the corner deck out on? They only play 3 Gizmo, don't they?
Yeah, I've never seen a Guardian that plays 4.
Okie dokie then. How many energy do they have left to Icy Wind? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They probably only have 1 energy to let them Icy Wind. That gives them 3 turns, and they have 3 cards left in deck, so I think we win. Oh, he's just retreating. Okay, fine. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20. Watch and learn. See you later.
Watch and learn.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20.
How's it go?
How many times do I have to say it until I convince myself that it's correct? Let's dig for a choice band.
Just to be safe.
Get out of here. Pseudo Udo Senpai. They played really badly there. Like, they could not have played worse. Could they? Maybe they could have. The lack of field blower is a little bit disturbing in this list. I want to squeeze one back in. Multi-switch seems so situational.
So good, you mean? So good.
It is good. It does create swings.
But it is very situational.
Sounds so sad.
I never minded the 1/1 Lycanroc when I did test this deck. That allows me to fit in 1 field blower and 1 other card. What would my other card be? Would it be Lily? Would it be Fan Club? I quite like establishing Fan Club, even though we do play Brooklets. It just thins the deck. I guess when you only have 1 Lele, Fan Club doesn't make sense. Maybe an E-Hammer, just like 1 cheeky E-Hammer.
Very cheeky.
Or that 2/1 Lycanroc line, just to squeeze in blower.
Mm,
You
yeah.
like him blower at the minute, I'm guessing.
Well, it was parallel with Theorymon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say one blower, no 2-1 like and rock. Give that a bash.
Is it worth me playing a 2-1 line?
I mean, you know I don't like 2-1 lines.
You'd rather
But-
a 1-1 line?
I'd rather a 1-1 line.
Okay. Well, what's my...
But I don't know I don't know what card you need.
Is it better to play a second Regirock? Because it's that important?
I like Regirock.
It means you hit 70 on Garbs. On Trebuchets, sorry.
Yeah, but you rarely get that out.
I mean, I don't like. I'm just saying 70s. I don't think 70 is a relevant number, right?
Fancy a freestyle? I really don't. I really don't fancy a freestyle. Need some more bursting in. Because I'm Dragonite.
Easy.
He always says it wrong. It's not bursting in like Dragonite. It's bursting in because I'm Dragonite. I'm a Dragonite, clearly. Look at me. Is it 20 past 12 already? I did not realise that. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Get out of here. You'll never
Wow.
see the answer. You'll never see the optimal 60.
Wow. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, I need to start testing some decks now that this chaos has ensued. I think we'll start a new spreadsheet, Jack. A new short list of decks.
Yeah, I think we need to add about 6 decks if we don't.
Yeah.
So let's
Start the think tank as of tomorrow and get testing. Cheers for joining us, guys. Cheers, Luke and Jack, for popping on. I know it's not Wednesday, but
no worries.
it all worked
Yeah,
out.
it's
I'm
a
happy
good
to.
discussion. It's nice to have a...
Yeah, this is one I wouldn't have minded being a
We covered
part
a
of
lot.
anyway. So.
Some new decks popping up, doing well at the tournament. We didn't look at the top 8 specifically, or like looking at lists and stuff. I'm sure when they
Even
start
so,
rolling
though.
out, we'll be able to.
Yeah.
Weirdly, they didn't release the top 8 of London.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just an American thing where they just have different rules out there. They've got different rules.
Different rules everywhere.
Did they do it for Australia? I can't remember if they did.
I have a horrible feeling they didn't.
Or Brazil. Maybe they only did it for the US ones. Huh. Weird. But yeah. And yeah, we tackled a couple of topics. I think we got the word out there of what we think about it all. So yeah. Said what needs to be said. If you want to see more about the whole what's it called? The team table issue. There's about 700 comments on my Facebook post about it.
There's been about 10 sub posts since about whether people like it, about what they would change, all sorts.
Everything's going on. So yeah, keep yourselves entertained with that, and stay tuned on Wednesday for our Christmas special. I'll probably be wearing a Santa hat and other stuff. Maybe have some mince pies or something. I don't know. Haven't thought it through, but there'll be something going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, Christmas times, maybe some Christmas jingles, some of the cheesy Pokemon ones, hopefully.
We will see.
We'll see. All right then. Cheers, guys, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
See ya.